As they were talking, the long-awaited light show finally began. The two little girls were held in Yi Xian's arms, looking at the shining beams of light on the stage, which formed patterns that kept changing with the exciting music. It was simply a feast for the eyes and ears. Wow! It's so beautiful. The two girls were in Yi Xian's arms, eating snacks and watching the light show. They looked so beautiful at this moment. Wang Xinyao, who was standing beside him, looked at Yi Xian and the two girls having fun together and also smiled happily. Dad! Have a bite too. At this time, Yi Yun in Yi Xian's arms opened a pack of biscuits, put half into her own mouth, and put the other half to Yi Xian's mouth. Okay, thank you, Xiaoyun. Dad! Dad! And mine. At this time, Yi Zi also broke off a piece of biscuit and handed it to Yi Xian. Yi Xian looked at the biscuits handed over by the two girls, took a bite, and smiled at the two girls. Thank you, girls, let's take a picture together. Good. Afterwards, Yi Xian put the two girls down, took out his mobile phone, found a suitable position, squatted down, hugged the two girls, and smiled at Wang Xinyao beside him. Xinyao, let's take a photo together. Good. Wang Xinyao readily agreed and put her arm around Yi Xian's neck. The family of four looked so warm. Okay, let me take the photo for you. Wang Yiyu, who was following nearby, took Yi Xian's phone with a smile and took on the role of photographer. Alright. Pay attention. 1, 2, 3. Eggplant. Yi Xian was half squatting at this time, holding the two girls in one hand, while Wang Xinyao was gently holding Yi Xian's neck from behind. Crack. Then, the photo was taken successfully and a beautiful picture was completely frozen. Aunt Evian. We want to see it. As soon as the photo was taken, the two girls rushed to see the photos. Wang Yiyu had no choice but to bring out the photos and handed the phone to the two girls. Wow! Auntie's photography skills are really good. The two girls looked at the photos and laughed happily. Yi Yun pointed at Wang Xinyao in the photo and spoke in a baby voice. Hey, look, mommy is holding daddy's neck, smiling so sweetly. Wang Xinyao was also looking at the photo at this time. Listening to the innocent words of the little girl, a charming blush appeared on her face again. Ah! Mom and Dad, look! The light has changed again. At this moment, the two girls seemed to see through the corners of the crowd that the light show on the stage had reached its climax. Yi Xian once again held the two girls in his arms, allowing the two girls to watch the light show better. The two girls took Yi Xian's phone and took photos of the light show, their parents and Aunt Yun, and took selfies together. The atmosphere was always so warm. After the light show ended, Wang Yiyun left first. On the way back, Wang Yiyun still couldn't help sighing. This night is destined to be an unforgettable night. I am really too full after eating so much dog food. When Wang Yiyun returned home, she couldn't help but smile when she looked at the photos she had taken on her mobile phone. Send this to Yi Jing and the others and see what these little girls think. Afterwards, Wang Yiyu sent all these photos to Yi Jing and several other little girls, wanting to see how they would react. Afterwards, Yi Jing and the others quickly saw the photos sent by Wang Yiyu, and they immediately felt envious and somewhat depressed. Ah! Next time Dad goes out, we must follow him. When Yi Xia saw these photos, she pouted and said angrily. When Dad comes back, you must compensate us. The girls were about to go to bed, but seeing these photos made it difficult for them to fall asleep. At the same time, it was time to go to bed in Tianlan Prefecture in Tianjing. Yi Yun walked up to Wang Xinyao mysteriously and asked weakly. Mom, can you not sleep with us tonight? Wang Xinyao looked at the little girl's serious expression and suddenly became puzzled. She stroked Yi Yun's hair and asked. What's wrong, Xiaoyun? What do you mean by asking this? Yi Yun thought about it, and then spoke without restraint. Mom, it's like this, my classmate Linlin's parents sleep together every night, but Linlin said that his mother seems to have stomach discomfort often. Sometimes when she goes to the bathroom at night and passes by Mom and Dad's room, she can hear Mom's cries of pain. But as long as he sleeps with Mom and Dad, her mom's stomach won't hurt. The more Wang Xinyao listened, the more surprised she became. Her face turned as red as an apple, and even her breathing became a little rapid. She gently tapped Yi Yun's little head. You little girl, you are such a smart kid. Yi Yun looked at Wang Xinyao in confusion, not knowing why her mother said that. Okay, call Xiaozi, we should go take a shower and go to bed. Wang Xinyao's face flushed. She didn't want to explain anything more, so she hurriedly called the two girls to go to the bathroom to take a bath. Not long after, Wang Xinyao came out with the two girls, all of whom were changed into pajamas. Wang Xinyao, who was wearing pajamas, had wet hair at this time. She looked like a lotus emerging from water. She was so beautiful that it didn't seem like a human scenery. Her skin was fair and rosy, and her face was moist, without any signs of aging. Coupled with this pajamas, her graceful and beautiful figure becomes vaguely visible, which makes people imagine more. Even Yi Xian was stunned when he saw this. Compared with many years ago, her appearance and figure were not inferior at all, but became even more charming and graceful. After taking a shower, Yi Yun took Yi Zi to bed. On the bed in Yi Xian's bedroom, Wang Xinyao and Yi Xian were separated by half a foot of distance. They were silent with only each other's breathing and heartbeat remaining. At this moment, Wang Xinya's little face was flushed and she was tossing and turning in her heart. Such a scene made her think a lot, and she couldn't help but recall the passionate night after she got drunk. Afterwards, Wang Xinyao thought about what happened today again. She saw Yi Xian's love for these children and was very moved. Feeling Yi Xian's even breathing and heartbeat, as well as his hot body temperature, Wang Xinyao felt a burning sensation on her face, and wondered to herself, should she give it to him? But at this moment, Yi Xian gradually moved towards Wang Xinyao. Chapter 87. Something big happened. However, the next moment, the door was suddenly opened, and two girls, Yi Zi and Yi Yun, walked in. They looked at Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao and said with their big watery eyes, "Mom and Dad, we want to sleep with you too." Yi Yun looked at Wang Xinyao seriously again and said in a baby voice, "Hee, I'm also afraid that Mom will have a stomachache." Wang Xinyao fell silent, while Yi Xian looked at the two girls with a smile on his face and stretched out his hand. "Girls, come here quickly." "Yeah." The two little girls jumped onto the bed happily, squeezed next to Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao, and were extremely excited. Yi Yun was playing in the bed. Suddenly she remembered something and said to Yi Xian with a smile, "Dad, we want another sister." Yi Xian lay on the bed, rubbed the little girl's face with a smile, and murmured, "You guys, if you don't sleep together with us, you might get it in a year." When Wang Xinyao heard this, her face immediately turned red and she looked at Yi Xian with a coquettish look. "Why are you saying that in front of the kids?" I haven't promised you yet." Yi Xian looked at Wang Xinyao's shy appearance and just smiled gently. But the two little girls didn't understand yet, and looked at the two of them and asked, "Mom, Dad, what does this mean?" Yi Zi was also biting her fingers, pouting her lips, her eyes filled with 100,000 questions. "Mom, why don't we have a sister here?" Wang Xinyao looked at the curious eyes of the two little guys and was suddenly speechless. How should she answer such a question? All right, go to bed early. We'll be back to Jinling tomorrow morning." Finally, Yi Xian looked helpless and knocked on the two girls' heads and said, "We will go back to find Jingjing, Xia, and Xiaoxi tomorrow." Good. When the two girls heard that they were going back home, they instantly shifted their attention, nodded obediently, and soon fell asleep. That night, the two girls slept soundly. Wang Xinyao was the same, sleeping quietly and peacefully with a hint of a smile on her lips. The next morning, after everyone got up, they got dressed, had a simple breakfast, and prepared to set off. Tang Hao had already booked a charter flight early in the morning and was waiting for everyone to rush to the airport. Lin Sheng and others had already received the news, and many dignitaries had also received the news. They rushed to the airport early in the morning. These people were already prepared before Yi Xian arrived at the airport, and they were all waiting respectfully to welcome Yi Xian's arrival. Many people nearby also looked sideways at these waiting dignitaries, and were amazed. This is a truly grand scene. The people present are all top figures in the entire Tianjing. My God, what a scene! Yes, these are all well-known figures in Tianjing. How come so many of them are here? From the looks of it, it's either to pick someone up or to see someone off. People were talking on the side, but at this time someone recognized some of the dignitaries in Lu Shang, and immediately gasped. I am not seeing things. These are all big guys. A middle-aged man who looked like a boss and was carrying a briefcase shuddered when he saw this scene and burst into a cry of surprise. What's going on? The people around him were shocked to see him like this, and they all looked at him. No. Don't you know? These are the real bosses. Look, those leaders are all the patriarchs of the major families. Even the old man of the Lin family is here. As soon as these words were spoken, the eyes of the people around gathered and they all widened in surprise. What exactly is going on? Who is it that could bring all these people together? As they were talking, Yi Xian and his group also arrived at the airport. When people saw Yi Xian coming, they hurried to greet him. Each one was more enthusiastic than the other. Some helped carry the luggage, some served tea and water. They were simply 360 degrees respectful to him. Lin Shang was also walking beside Yi Xian, trying enthusiastically to keep him. General Yilong, why don't you stay in Tianjing for a few more days? Yi Xian walked with the two little girls, shook his head and said with a smile. Forget about this, I have to go back first. When Lin Shang heard Yi Xian say this, he didn't say anything more and just continued to see him off. Finally, when they arrived next to the plane carrying Yi Xian and other dignitaries took out some gifts they had prepared and presented them to Yi Xian. General Yilong, you've come here with great difficulty. This is a little gift from me. It's a pair of small roux kiln vases that I found a while ago. Please accept them. And here, General Yilong, I specially asked someone to get this pink diamond from abroad. Please accept it. General Yilong. These dignitaries have prepared a lot of things, all of which are valuable items, such as rare antiques and top-quality diamonds. But Yi Xian looked at these things and shook his head. He didn't take any of them, but looked towards Lin Shang. General Yilong, these are some Tianjing specialties that I bought for you. They are all good cakes and preserved fruits. They are also my gifts to the children. After Lin Shang finished speaking, he smiled kindly and handed the things to the two maids. Thank you, Grandpa. After Yi Yun and Yi Zi took it, they thanked Lin Shang. During this process, Yi Xian did not say anything, which meant he accepted it tacitly. The dignitaries standing by were watching this scene and were immediately filled with envy. This old man Lin is indeed worthy of being a man who has been in the world for decades. His control and understanding of the ways of the world are much better than theirs. It was at this time that they suddenly realized. After all, Mr. Yi was a high-ranking official with wealth that had already reached an unimaginable level. How could he be interested in these things? Lin Shang did not prepare anything particularly expensive, but these specialties brought him closer. Okay, girls, it's time to get on the plane. Seeing that the time was almost up, Yi Xian took the two girls and Wang Xinyao and boarded the plane. Lin Shang and others also stayed by their side to see them off until Yi Xian and others had all boarded the plane. Not long after taxiing on the runway for a while, the plane took off steadily and disappeared into the clouds above. When everyone saw this, they all sighed with emotion. Yilong's short journey to Tianjing had come to an end. But within these few days, a major earthquake occurred in the entire Tianjing city. By the way, Mr. Lin, what do you think about the Wang family's affairs? At this time, many dignitaries looked at Lin Shang, and one of them asked about the Wang family. Lin Shang looked at the man, his body trembled, and he said lightly. What? Do you want to disobey Mr. Ye's order? The man who spoke just now shook his head hurriedly and then explained. Not less. Master Lin, you misunderstood. What I mean is, should we go one step further in sanctioning and suppressing the Wang family? Lin Shang thought for a moment and did not answer first. Instead, he put his hands behind his back, looked at the distant horizon, and nodded slightly. It doesn't matter. It's time for the sky in Tianjing to change. At the same time, on the Wang family's side, there was widespread grief. Good news, Yi Xian has left Tianjing. At this time, one of the people who knew the news walked in and said excitedly to everyone. Really? That's great. Oh, this guy finally left. We can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, I really don't know what to do. We didn't even have a chance to breathe before facing such an existence. After everyone in the Wang family learned the news, they were extremely excited and could finally breathe a sigh of relief. But before they could be happy for long, worse news came. Oh no! Oh no! Something terrible has happened. Chapter 88 Pick up. While the Wang family was still celebrating, a member of the Wang family suddenly rushed in from outside the door, looked at everyone with a look of despair on his face and said, What's wrong? What's the hurry? Relax. Everyone looked at this young man. Although they said this, they had a bad premonition. The man had collapsed to the ground, looking listless and with bloodshot eyes. Relax. The sky is falling. The man gritted his teeth and became a little crazy. We have been refused cooperation by all families and companies, and there are countless claims and accusations. Our Wang family is really finished this time. It's all over. When everyone heard this, they all looked incredulous. They quickly took out their phones and walked aside to contact each other. But in less than 5 minutes, these people looked through the address book, but not a single company or family they had previously cooperated with was willing to answer the call. At this time, everyone in the Wang family understood that they had been abandoned by everyone in Tianjin. What does it mean when a wall falls, everyone pushes it, when a tree falls, monkeys scatter? This is the plain reality. Thinking of this, the Wang family felt angry and regretful at the same time. In the silent and empty Wang family villa, old man Wang Zhuang was slumped on the sofa, his hair was messy, and he looked more than 10 years older. There were several middle-aged men around him, all of whom were Wang Ji's descendants. At this time, they looked at the old man helplessly, sighed and said, "Old man, we should leave now. This villa has been mortgaged." The middle-aged man in the lead looked at the weathered old man and felt helpless. Wang Ji stood up slowly, his hands and feet weak, and looked around the villa. Everything that once made him proud was about to disappear like that. Well. After going around in circles, Wang Ji just sighed and couldn't say anything. At this time, on the plane, the two girls Yi Yun and Yi Zi were sitting together with Yi Xian, with their seatbelts fastened, and they were eating the specialties that Lin Sheng had just brought. "How is it? Is it delicious?" Yi Xian looked at the two girls and asked lovingly. Delicious." The two girls nodded heavily, with their mouths full of pastry crumbs, like two little kittens. "Look at you guys, what have you become from eating so much?" Wang Xinyo was sitting next to Yi Xian. Seeing the two girls like this, she was helpless and had to call the flight attendant. "Hello, ma'am, what can I do for you?" Wang Xinyo had just rang the service bell when a beautiful and elegant stewardess in uniform came over, bowed first, and then asked respectfully, "Here's the thing, could you bring me some wet wipes?" "Thank you." The flight attendant was shocked when she saw Wang Xinyao's equally polite attitude. With so many people on the charter flight, it was rare to meet someone so polite. "Oh. Okay, wait a moment." After a slight pause, the flight attendant hurriedly went to the side to get a wet wipe and handed it to Wang Xinyo. "Thanks." Wang Xinyo thanked the flight attendant with a smile, then took out a card and wiped the mouths of the two girls. "You two girls, look at how you've eaten all these cakes and pastries everywhere. Can't you be more careful?" While helping the two girls wipe their mouths, Wang Xinyo looked at the carpet like crumbs of pastries, reprimanded them, and glanced apologetically at the flight attendant beside her. The two girls nodded. They felt their mouths were dry after eating the cakes. Then they looked pitifully at the flight attendant beside them. "Sister, do you have any drinks? We really want some." The flight attendant at the side looked at the two cute little guys, nodded gently, and said sweetly, "Of course there are, kids, what would you like to drink?" But the two girls didn't rush to say what they wanted to drink. Instead, they looked at their parents sitting opposite them. "Mom and Dad, do you want to drink too?" Yi Xian and Wang Xinyo smiled and shook their heads, looking at the two girls and said, "It's okay. What do you want to drink? Just tell this, sister." "We don't want to drink yet." Yi Zi and Yi Yun nodded, looked at each other, and discussed quietly for a few words before Yi Yun, who was sitting outside, spoke. "Sister, we just need 2 glasses of orange juice." "Okay." The stewardess smiled and nodded, then walked aside to prepare drinks for the two girls. Wang Xinyo was looking at the message Wang Yiyu had just sent him. Although he was already on the plane, he had turned on the flight mode so he could still check the historical records. At this time, Wang Yiyun had already arrived in Shanghai, and Wang Xinyo was helpless as she flipped through the news. But when I saw one of the sentences, I couldn't help but laugh. "I can't stand your dog food anymore. I've made up my mind. I'm going to take a plane back to the Magic City overnight." Yi Yun, who was standing next to her, heard Wang Xinyo's laughter and came over to ask, Mom, what are you laughing at?" Wang Xinyo looked at her phone, still smiling. "Nothing, I was just laughing at your Aunt Evian." When Yi Yun heard that it was Wang Yiyu, she pouted and spoke in a baby voice. "Auntie Yun is so nice to us." Yi Zi, who was standing by, remembered it at this moment and also talked non-stop. "Yes. And Aunt Yuyan and Aunt Chen Jing are all very nice to us." Yi Xian listened at the side and looked at Wang Xinyo beside him with a smile. "Your best friends are all very nice." Wang Xinyo also nodded, looked at the two girls who were drinking orange juice comfortably, and said with a wry smile, "These little ones are quite expensive, so I often leave them with my girlfriends when I'm out." Thinking of this, Wang Xinyo also sighed and said with a smile, Oh, it's not that bad, I'm also grateful to the person who entrusted me with this. Yi Xian looked at Wang Xinyo and immediately felt the guilt welling up in his heart. Such a strong woman actually raised 5 little girls, and these little girls grew up healthy and happy. This also means that Wang Xinyo has experienced countless hardships over the years. You've worked hard. Yi Xian looked at Wang Xinyo and said softly. It's okay, it's all worth it. Feeling the pity and guilt in the man's tone, Wang Xinyo trembled. Looking at the 2 cute little girls in front of her, she suddenly felt that everything was worth it. At this time, Jinling was in Villa number 1 of Yulanshan Pavilion. Chen Jing was busy changing clothes for the 3 little girls and said with a smile. Once we've changed our clothes, we should go pick up your parents. The girls were already very excited. When they heard the news that their parents were coming back last night, they almost couldn't sleep the whole night. At this time, I was about to go to the airport to pick up my parents, so I was even more excited and changed into a new pair of clothes in no time. Okay, let's go. We're going to the airport now. After changing clothes, Chen Jing walked out with a few maids. The driver was already waiting at the door. Get in the car. Let's go pick up Mom, Dad, and sisters. Chapter 89. Bring Dad back. Yi Shi was the first to run onto the car, still muttering excitedly, and Yi Jing and Yi Xia followed closely behind him. These girls. Chen Jing looked at the excited girls and got into the car helplessly. Along the way, the girls were very excited. They kept sticking their heads out to look at the driver in front of them and asked anxiously. Uncle, how long will it take us to get to the airport? The driver in front looked at the girls. Since they were Brother Ye's daughters, he had to answer seriously. Don't worry, kids, we're almost there. All right. The girls nodded and looked at the white road outside the window. Yi Xia asked the driver again. Uncle, can you drive faster? There don't seem to be many cars on the road. The driver was also helpless and shook his head with a wry smile. This was a speed-limited road and he couldn't drive faster even if he wanted to. Well, Uncle can't do anything about it. We have to obey the traffic rules. If we drive any faster on this road, it will affect traffic safety. When the little girls heard this, although they were anxious, they had no choice but to accept it. All right. Chen Jing looked at this scene and found it funny. She said to the little girls. I'm telling you guys, don't be so anxious. Even though we've been there a long time ago, your parents haven't gotten off the plane yet. The 3 girls nodded, their eyes full of anticipation, and they could hardly sit still. The journey, which originally didn't take long, seemed extremely long in the eyes of the girls. Every minute and every second seemed extremely long. Girls, we'll be there once we turn the corner. Chen Jing looked at the girls lying by the window watching and smiled helplessly. Very good. Several maids immediately started dancing with joy. Soon, the vehicle drove into the airport, and Chen Jing and a few girls were waiting at the exit. Afterwards, Yi Xian brought Wang Xinyo and 2 little girls out. When the 3 little guys saw them, they immediately ran up and hugged them. Hey! We got Dad! The little girls hugged each other for a while, then surrounded Yi Xian, stretched out their little hands, and looked at Yi Xian expectantly. Daddy, hug me! Yi Xian was silent when he saw the scene. The corners of his mouth twitched. How could he hold these 5 little girls by himself? Don't look at it, this is not because of you. Wang Xinyo on the side covered her mouth and smiled, then patted Yi Xian's shoulder gently. Yi Xian looked at Wang Xinyo standing aside and could only smile bitterly and nodded. Who told him to be so powerful that he could fire 5 shots with 1 shot? Girls, I won't hold you today. Daddy will take you to the souvenir shop. You can have whatever you want. Good. Seeing an airport souvenir shop nearby, Yi Xian let a few girls in. Wang Xinyo looked at this heartwarming scene and walked to Chen Jing's side. My dear sister, I have really troubled you these days. Chen Jing shook her head and gave Wang Xinyo a deep hug. Oh, what's the big deal? You know I really like these little girls. Besides, we are good sisters. Your daughter is my little baby. Having said that, Chen Jing was filled with emotion as she watched Yi Xian leading a few girls into the store. Ah! Speaking of this, I envy you for finding such a good man. Wang Xinyo couldn't help but blush at this moment, and said with a coquettish voice. What? Aren't we? But Chen Jing didn't buy it and interrupted Wang Xinyo. Stop it. You 2 already have 5 kids, right? Wang Xinyo was speechless for a moment and lightly pinched Chen Jing beside her.
Okay, stop talking. Isn't it okay if I admit it?
The two of them exchanged pleasantries, and after waiting for a while, Yi Xian led the maids out, holding large and small bags, all of which were things he bought for the maids.
Come on, let's go back.
Then, Yi Xian called Wang Xinyao and got into the car with the two girls.
Tang Hao was responsible for driving, and the girls in the car hugged Yi Xian tightly, as if they were afraid that Yi Xian would run away again.
Yi Xian was also helpless, and Tang Hao watched the scene through the rearview mirror and slowed down the car.
Dad, we are going to punish you. You were obviously going to pick up Mom and Xiao Yun and Xiaozi, why didn't you take us with you?
Yi Xia hugged Yi Xian's neck tightly, not daring to let go at all.
Chen Jing watched from the side and also said with a smile. How is it?
Does it feel comfortable to be hugged by those little girls? Yi Xian nodded gently, his whole body revealing a sense of happiness. He looked at the girls with a doting expression on his face and said seriously.
Dad is the happiest man in the world because he has 5 little angels like you.
As he spoke, Yi Xian hugged the little girls tightly.
He couldn't tell how happy he was at that moment. All of this was just like a dream.
Some time ago, he was still alone, and he mocked himself as a loner. But now, in his arms, he holds these lovely little girls. It has to be said that this is like a dream. Yi Xian just hopes at this moment that if this is a dream, it would be best if he never wakes up. When Wang Xinyao heard this, a smile appeared on her face. This was exactly the scene she had been looking forward to. Afterwards, after everyone arrived at the villa, Yi Xian led a few little girls out of the car, and then Wang Xinyao and Chen Jing also came down. Looking at the villa number 1 of Yulangshan Pavilion in front of them, Wang Xinyao, Yi Yun and Yi Zi were extremely surprised.
This villa looked no worse than villa number 1 of Tianlan Mansion in Tianjing. Dad is so awesome, he has a big house everywhere.
Yi Yun and Yi Zi looked at the villa with their mouths wide open.
Let's go, I'll take you inside to have a look.
Yi Jing walked up to the two girls with a smile, took one in each hand, and ran into the villa first. Wang Xinyao was even more stunned.
In Jinling, Yi Xian also owned such a top-notch villa. How rich and powerful is this guy?
Wang Xinyao was secretly amazed in her heart, and couldn't believe what kind of skill it took to be able to do this.
Come on, let's go in too.
Yi Xian looked at Wang Xinyao beside him and said softly.
Good. Wang Xinyao nodded and followed Yi Xian in. At this time, Yi Jing, Yi Xia, and Yi Shi were touring the villa with the two maids, Yi Yun and Yi Zi. Okay, I'm going to go cook. It's almost time for lunch.
Yi Xian saw that the time was almost up and was about to go into the kitchen to cook, but was stopped by Wang Xinyao.
Let me do it this time.
Wang Xinyao looked at Yi Xian, then looked at the girls beside her and continued. Jingjing, Xia Xia, and Xiaoxi miss you so much, just play with them, I'll go cook.
Besides, I promised you that I would let you taste my cooking. Yi Xian smiled and nodded slightly. Okay, thank you for your hard work. Soon, the table was filled with many dishes. Everyone sat around it, and with the addition of these 5 little girls, it was quite lively. Girls, how long have you not eaten your mother's cooking? Come on, eat more.
While Yi Xian was eating, he picked up some dishes for the maids.
How is it? Is it delicious?
Wang Xinyao was afraid that her skills would become rusty, so she looked at Yi Xian standing beside her with some nervousness and asked.
Delicious. Really delicious.
Yi Xian ate with great relish. There was a flavor in the food that was hard for him to describe and that was not found in the dishes he cooked himself.
As long as you like it. Wang Xinyao then nodded and felt relieved.
Chen Jing, on the other hand, was slapping Wang Xinyao madly with a very painful expression, and her meaning was unclear and powerful. Chen Jing had no choice but to eat this dog food, but as Wang Xinyao best friend, she was still very happy for her. After dinner, Chen Jing watched the family reunion and didn't want to disturb them anymore, so she said goodbye to everyone and left the villa.
Chapter 90 Fight.
In the evening, when Yi Xian had nothing to do, he suggested going to the club for a massage. After all, seeing that Wang Xinyao has been quite nervous these days, he hasn't had a good rest recently.
Well, do you want to go?
Yi Xian sipped his tea and asked again while looking at the maids and Wang Xinyao.
Okay.
Wang Xinyao smiled and nodded, while several girls ran excitedly to the door to change their shoes.
Then let's go.
Afterwards, Yi Xian took them to a nearby club. The clubhouse is well decorated, with a stand-alone design and a garden pavilion at the entrance.
It has beautiful scenery and unique design.
It was nighttime at this moment, the club was brightly lit, and even the garden at the door was glowing with warm yellow lights, creating a comfortable atmosphere. After walking in, everyone's eyes lit up when they saw the scene inside. It is hard to imagine that a SPA club can be designed with such a high-end feel, with a spacious hall and exquisite decorations. The corridors are meticulously landscaped with greenery and light music is playing. Coupled with the refreshing scent of jasmine in the air, people feel relaxed physically and mentally as soon as they come in. When the waiter saw Yi Xian and others come in, 2 adults with 5 little girls, it was very lively. He hurriedly came over and invited everyone to sit down in the rest area nearby. "Good evening, sir and madam, please come and sit here." Afterwards, the waiter enthusiastically introduced the various services in the club, and drinks and snacks were also brought during the period. "We have the best SPA massage technicians here, and we also have multiple programs for you to choose from." The waiter took out the price list while smiling professionally and introduced each item in detail. "Sir, let me finally introduce you to our highest quality service, which includes hot spring baths and steam baths. Our top technicians will perform full body exfoliation treatments and Thai essential oil spas for you." After listening to the introduction, Yi Xian nodded immediately and chose the most expensive and best service price without too much consideration. "Let's just take this last one. There are 7 of us. Please arrange a room for us as soon as possible." The waiter was instantly delighted after hearing this. This was a big order, so he quickly arranged rooms for Yi Xian and others and called the technician. Afterwards, Yi Xian changed his clothes, entered the room and began to enjoy himself. On the other side, Wang Xinyao and a few maids changed their clothes and then entered their respective private rooms one after another, each in one private room. At this time, outside, several young men wearing famous brands also walked in. They all surrounded the man in the lead and fawned over him. They all had fawning smiles on their faces, and they were as respectful as they could be. "Master Lei. This is a great place. It's the best massage parlor in Jinling. We have also heard that the technicians here are very skilled and the service is top-notch. Master Lei, are you satisfied? If not, let's go to another place." The man who was surrounded by the crowd and was called young Master Lei was called Lei Tianlin. He was clad in gold and silver, and his every move was full of pride. There was always a hint of arrogance and disdain in his eyes, as if everything around him was not worthy of his attention. Although this guy is wearing gold and silver and all designer clothes, his face is full of gloom, his eyes are dark, his complexion is a little pale, and he walks in a weak manner. It is obvious that he is a guy whose body has been hollowed out by alcohol and sex. These people are all from provinces and cities south of Jinling, and they all know the identity of Lei Tianlin, Master Lei. Speaking of young Master Lei, he is a well-known figure in their circle. He is the eldest son of the Lei family, the #1 family in southeastern China. I believe there is no need to explain what this concept is. These young masters who usually think they are superior have no choice but to act as lackeys in front of Lei Tianlin. As soon as Lei Tianlin walked in, he immediately saw Wang Xinyao inside. At this time, Wang Xinyao had just sent a few maids into the room and was about to go to her own private room. Looking at Wang Xinyao in front of him, her graceful figure, her absolutely beautiful face without any flaws, and her temperament in every frown and smile, Lei Tianlin's eyes were suddenly fixed on her. Moreover, Wang Xinyao was wearing a loose silk bathrobe. Her hot body was wrapped in the white bathrobe, but some vague outlines could still be seen. It was this hazy feeling that made people even more intoxicated. When the lackey beside Lei Tianlin saw that Master Lei didn't say anything, he looked at Wang Xinyao in front of him and was stunned. "Wow! This is so beautiful. Look, Master Lei, this is a top-grade product. Ha, it looks like Master Lei is going to be lucky tonight." Afterwards, this group of guys walked towards Wang Xinyao. Lei Tianlin still stared at Wang Xinyao and licked his lips from time to time. "Don't worry, I won't forget my brothers even after I'm done having fun. Ha ha ha. Master Lei is truly righteous." Upon hearing this, the lackeys surrounding them became even more fawning, and they felt so happy in their hearts. This means they are just picking up the leftovers from Lei Xiao's meal, which is enough to make them comfortable. At this time, Lei Tianlin was already imagining the scene of making love with the woman in front of him, and he had made up his mind that he must take this woman down tonight no matter what. He was completely confident about this. After all, he was the eldest son of the Lei family, the #1 family in the southeast, and he did not get the title for nothing. What you want is just a thought. The Wang Xinyao he saw today could be said to have captivated his soul. He believed that he had seen countless beauties, but he had never seen such a perfect woman.
She was like a work of art meticulously crafted by God. But just as he was speeding up his pace, his breathing becoming rapid, and approaching Wang Xinyao, he suddenly stopped. The next moment, Tang Hao blocked their way, and Wang Xinyao just happened to return to her private room at this time and did not notice what was happening here. Lei Tianlin was ready to go at this moment, and would not allow anyone to interrupt him. His face suddenly turned dark, and he looked at Tang Hao fiercely. But just as he was about to speak, Tang Hao suddenly punched him in the face. Ah! This guy was weak and could not withstand Tang Hao's powerful punch. He fell to the ground immediately, and even several of his teeth were knocked out. He covered his face in pain and howled loudly. He was completely stunned. The remaining young masters were also stunned when they saw this scene. This happened in a split second. It was really too sudden. Fuck you. Come on, all of you. Beat him to death. At this time, Lei Tianlin on the ground looked at Tang Hao coldly and let out an angry roar. When the young masters heard this, they also reacted and immediately rushed towards Tang Hao. Brothers, fuck him. How dare you hurt Master Lei? Who do you think you are? Beat them all to death. Even though they fought together, how could these rich young men who lived a lavish life be a match for Tang Hao, who was once a 5-star dragon school member of the Yanhuang military? In no time, all these young masters fell to the ground, like dead dogs, unable to get up. They just kept growling, looking extremely miserable. Lei Tianlin, who was lying on the side, was stunned at this moment. His mouth was wide open, looking at Tang Hao, who was standing in front of him like a god of war, with unspeakable fear in his eyes. Yi Xian, who was enjoying a massage inside, also heard the sound, walked out of the room and was heading towards this side. At the same time, the boss also came to the scene, and was stunned when he saw this scene. Looking at Yi Xian, Lei Xiao and a group of young masters standing aside, the boss took a deep breath and almost pinched himself. After all, Yi Xian is the big boss of Jinling, and these young masters are not easy to mess with. Pick any one of them, and his family is also a wealthy family. The only thing he can do in the situation he is in now is to smooth things over. No matter what, if things get out of hand here, I won't be able to keep my store open. But at this time, before the boss could speak, Yi Xian glanced over here, and then coldly gave an order to Tang Hao. Break their hands and feet. Although he didn't ask what happened, Yi Xian knew that since Tang Hao took action, there must be a reason. These people must have done something unforgivable. Mr. Yi, calm down. These people's families are not simple either. They are all heavyweights. You should take a step back. There's no need to go to this extent, right? The boss was very anxious at this time, so he could only bite the bullet and persuade Yi Xian earnestly. But Yi Xian didn't listen to a word. He sat on the sofa beside him and looked at the young masters on the ground indifferently. If you have any problem, come to me and fight. It's Brother Yi. Chapter 91 Southeast Lei Family. Tang Hao didn't hesitate at all and stepped hard on the ankle of the nearest young man. With a crack, the young master screamed in pain and immediately fainted. The remaining young masters looked at this scene. Some of them fainted from fright, while others were so frightened that they lost control of their bowels and bladder, and could not utter a word. Even the few who had a little better mental quality were now pale and begging for mercy, even though they knew it was useless. As the continuous screams rang out, the limbs of these young masters were all broken, and they all fainted from the pain. Tang Hao picked them up one by one like chickens and threw them out towards the door. Seeing this, Yi Xian stood up with satisfaction, then went back to his room to continue enjoying himself. The boss was terrified and just stared blankly until the employee next to him shook him. Then he reacted and immediately called an ambulance and sent everyone to the hospital. At this time, the boss was about to cry. As a businessman, who on earth had he offended? After a while, Wang Xinyao and the others finished their project. Yi Xian was waiting for them in the rest area outside. He watched them come out, walked over, and asked with a smile. How is it, are you comfortable? Wang Xinyao smiled and nodded. Now she felt relaxed. It's so comfortable. The technicians here are really great. Dad, we are satisfied too. The little girls also felt comfortable at this time and were very satisfied with the experience. Okay, then we should go home. Yi Xian looked very satisfied. He smiled and pulled a few maids together, ready to go back. The boss next to him felt his scalp tingling when he saw this warm family scene. It was as if nothing had happened, which made him terrified. But he thought that only Mr. Yi could do this. Afterwards, Tang Hao drove everyone back to Villa number 1 of Yulongshan Pavilion soon. As soon as he got home, Yi Xian received a call and then replied with a smile. Okay, just ship it to me tomorrow so I can test it out. After saying that, Yi Xian hung up the phone and a few little girls came over. Dad, who are you talking to on the phone? Yi Xi asked in a baby voice with a lollipop in her mouth. Yi Xian squatted down, looked at the curious looks of the little girls, and smiled dotingly. Dad will take you to test fly the plane tomorrow, okay? Good. When the little girls heard about the test flight, they immediately became excited and clamored to go wash up and go to bed. Wang Xinyao was listening at the side and was also slightly stunned, thinking that Yi Xian was talking about drones. Afterwards, when the maids finished washing up, it was time to go to bed. At this time, on Yi Xian's bed, 5 maids were surrounding Yi Xian in an extremely strange posture. 4 of the girls were hugging Yi Xian's hands and legs tightly at this time, while Xiaoxi was lying on Yi Xian's chest and sleeping very soundly. Wang Xinyao hadn't fallen asleep yet. She watched the scene and gave a bitter smile. Lying next to Yi Xian and a few maids, Wang Xinyao was tossing and turning. After a while, Wang Xinyao heard the even breathing of the 6 people next to her, and she smiled inside. They always say that a daughter is her father's little cotton padded jacket and his little lover in previous life. Now it seems that it is true. Although these girls had only recently met their father, Yi Xian's meticulous care quickly made these girls completely attached to him. Not to mention others, Wang Xinyao felt a little jealous at this moment. Very nice. Wang Xinyao smiled, looked at Yi Xian and the little girls' smiling faces as they slept, sighed softly, and slowly fell asleep. But at this moment, some people were happy and some were sad. Those people from the eldest son's family just now couldn't sleep no matter what. The eldest sons in their family were now all completely disabled, with their hands and feet broken. This is simply a slap in the face to all of them. Who did this? At this time, inside the hospital, several middle-aged men in fancy clothes stood at the door of the operating room. The middle-aged man in the lead couldn't help but let out a roar. The man was the father of the eldest son who was undergoing surgery. Just when he was about to take a break, he suddenly learned that his son was sent to the hospital, and he rushed to the hospital. Excuse me, are you Lu Feng's family? At this time, a doctor wearing a mask and surgical gown walked out of the operating room. Yes, doctor. How is my son? The man hurriedly asked the doctor, hoping to get good news. I'm sorry, we've tried our best. Both arms have comminuted fractures below the radius, ankle joints have comminuted fractures, and the skin and bones have varying degrees of necrosis. We can only perform conservative anti-inflammatory and antibacterial treatments now. Although we have removed the bone fragments from the skin and performed a cleansing, we still cannot place a stent. Ah! When the middle-aged man heard this, his eyes went dark and he almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, the people around him supported him and he did not fall. Does this mean that my son will be disabled in the future? The doctor looked at the man's desperate expression and sighed helplessly. Dear family member, please don't worry. We need him to be hospitalized for observation. We will do our best, but it's still an unknown. After saying this, the doctor walked into the operating room again. The man sat slumped on the side with a cold face. Slowly, he became furious and stood up suddenly. No matter who did this, I will make him pay the price. Afterwards, many people had gathered at the entrance of the club, all of them were from the families of these young masters. The boss's face was covered in sweat at this time, and he was busy receiving these people. He also looked aggrieved. He was just doing business and did not expect such a thing to happen. Afterwards, these people saw the surveillance footage, and the more they watched, the more frightened they became, and the anger in their hearts had accumulated to the extreme. They are so cruel for no reason. They simply don't take us seriously. Let's go, we'll go over there now and ask for an explanation. Yes, let's go now. At this time, everyone who saw this video was so angry that their faces turned purple, and they were immediately ready to go directly to the door. However, when they were about to leave in a hurry, the people of the Lei family received a call from the head of the Lei family. The other people around also stopped. After all, they knew what the Lei family was. At this time, the member of the Lei family who answered the phone was listening to the instructions of the head of the family on the other end of the phone, and then nodded. Okay, master. I understand. We are relieved if you take care of it. You must punish him severely. Chapter 92, Straight into the Sky. The next morning, Wang Xinyao woke up, rubbed her eyes, and turned her head to look. Except for Xiaoxi who was still lying on Yi Xian's chest, the other girls were sleeping with their legs spread out.
Looking at the girl sleeping soundly, Wang Xinyao smiled gently, slowly sat up, and looked at Yi Xian's profile. I have to say, this man is so perfect no matter from which angle you look at him. His angular face exudes strong hormones. Wang Xinyao was so obsessed with the look that she was about to close her eyes and give him a secret kiss, but she felt someone was looking at her. Immediately afterwards, Wang Xinyao saw that Xiaoxi, who was lying on Yi Xian's chest, had woken up and was covering her face with her little hands. But this girl's fingers were forked, her eyes were secretly watching, and she was muttering in a low voice.
Mom, shame on you.
When Wang Xinyao saw this scene, she sighed helplessly and had to give up. Afterwards, Wang Xinyao got up, washed up simply, and went to prepare breakfast for everyone.
Girls, time for breakfast. After making breakfast, Wang Xinyao walked into the yard.
At this time, Yi Xian was playing Eagle Catches Chicken with a few girls. When they heard that it was time to eat, they stopped.
Dad, we still want to play.
Xiaoxi gently tugged at Yi Xian's clothes, looking a little unsatisfied. Yi Xian smiled and pinched the little guy's face, and said gently,
Be good, let's go eat first, we still have to test fly the plane later.
Good. Several girls nodded, and when they heard that the plane was going to be tested, they all trotted towards the villa, ready to set off after breakfast. Yi Xian looked at the girls running and jumping, and followed them in. At this time, the girls were queuing up in the bathroom to wash their hands. They looked cute and well behaved, which made Yi Xian laugh.
So good.
Yi Xian walked over, praised a few girls, waited for them to wash their hands, and then went to eat together. Because they were thinking about test flying the plane, the girls ate much more efficiently. After finishing breakfast, they pulled Yi Xian's hand and clamored to set off immediately.
Okay, let's go.
Yi Xian smiled and nodded, then led the maids out of the villa. After a while, everyone arrived at an abandoned land in Jinling. The space here was vast and sparsely populated.
Where is this?
After Yi Xi got out of the car, she looked at the desolate surroundings with a slightly strange expression. At this time, several little girls and Wang Xinyao all looked at Yi Xian, their faces full of confusion.
Dad, what are we doing here?
Yi Xian looked at the confused faces of the crowd and looked forward with a smile.
Didn't we agree to come here to test fly the plane?
As soon as these words came out, Wang Xinyao shuddered all over and fell silent immediately. At this moment, she looked at Yi Xian's indifferent smile and couldn't help feeling a little shocked. The more she thought about it, the more incredible it seemed.
Then, I looked at the surrounding environment.
It would be a bit of a waste of resources to use this vast test flight site to test fly drones. Thinking of this, Wang Xinyao shook her head violently.
Let's not talk about this.
It is impossible that he came here from so far away just to test the drone.
Thinking of this, an absurd idea suddenly emerged in Wang Xinyao's mind.
Combined with Yi Xian's financial and material resources, she actually somewhat confirmed her absurd idea.
Could it be that Yi Xian is planning to play this for real? Shocked, Wang Xinyao looked at Yi Xian, took a deep breath, and then asked Yi Xian, Is this a plane that can actually fly? After asking this question, Wang Xinyao felt that her question was a bit redundant. If it wasn't an airplane, could it be a kite? Yes.
Yi Xian nodded affirmatively, as if he didn't take it seriously at all.
Wang Xinyao immediately had a face full of question marks and couldn't help but take a breath.
She originally worked in aerospace research, so she was a little worried about this. After all, it required adjusting a lot of things.
Don't you have to adjust a lot of things? It's very troublesome, right?
Yi Xian listened, but smiled and shook his head, looking at Wang Xinyao and said,
Don't worry, it's okay.
The operating system and measurement system are ready, now all that's left is actual testing. Wang Xinyao looked at Yi Xian's confident look, and for some reason, she was still a little worried. These little guys didn't think about it at all, they just looked forward to it. After a while, a car drove towards the side and stopped next to the crowd. Immediately afterwards, several staff members got out of the car and unloaded the boxes that were transported from the back.
Wang Xinyao looked at the box in front of her, which was about 1 meter long, wide, and half a meter high. She was a little confused and asked Yi Xian, Hey, what is this?
Yi Xian looked at the box with a smile and waved his hand for the staff to open it.
Open the box.
The staff member nodded, and then opened the box. Wang Xinyao stared at it closely, but when the box was opened, she was shocked. Looking at the thing in front of her, Wang Xinyao's mouth twitched and she suddenly fell silent.
The fighter jet in front of me is less than 1 meter long.
It is silver all over, with seamless seams and a streamlined body that is full of the texture of steel. This fighter jet has a sharp front and a wide, but angular back. This design can minimize air resistance and achieve the best flight condition. Speaking of this design, even Wang Xinyao thinks it is a decent design, and it can even be said to be a bit ahead of its time. But after all, Wang Xinyao still felt it was a bit funny. Isn't this just a model airplane? However, these little guys were quite happy. They circled around the fighter jet several times and kept chattering. Wow! What a big plane! I love this plane, it's so beautiful. Dad, can this plane take us to the sky? Yi Shi pulled Yi Xian's sleeve and asked with some longing. Ha, that's not possible. However, this plane is really fun. Yi Xian explained to the little girls with a smile that although they knew it couldn't carry people, the little girls still liked it very much. At this time, Wang Xinyao was certain that this plane should be designed by Yi Xian for the children to play with, but can such a thing really fly? At first she thought Yi Xian was talking about a real fighter jet, the kind that could carry people into space. The result is just such a small thing. But such a result is reassuring. After all, such a small thing should only be able to fly for a while. Wang Xinyao concluded at this time that this thing would only fly about 10 meters at most before falling down. But after thinking about it, Wang Xinyao shook her head again. Only then did she remember that this thing was made of iron. At this moment, Wang Xinyao felt that this thing might not even be able to fly. Yi Xian looked at the excited expressions of the little girls and prepared to conduct the final inspection. He waved to the staff in front of him. Okay, let's check it one last time. Yes. The staff nodded, and then began the final inspection with Yi Xian. The engine is in good health and all indicators are normal. There is enough aviation fuel and the ignition device is qualified. Wang Xinyao, who had looked down on this fighter just now, was gradually shocked when she saw how busy they were. For some reason, she gradually felt that this fighter jet was not as simple as she thought. At this time, all the conditions of the fighter jet had been checked. Yi Xian took out the laptop beside him and began the final debugging work on the fighter jet. Wang Xinyao was even more surprised when she looked at the data displayed on the laptop. She walked forward to take a look. The more she looked, the more she felt that her previous thoughts seemed a little naive. Judging from the current situation, this fighter jet is definitely not simple. It's done. Yi Xian had also debugged the fighter jet at this time, walked over here, and said to everyone with a smile. Xinyao, and the girls, please stay away. It will be a bit noisy later. The little girls seemed to understand what was going on, but they all stood back, their eyes fixed on the fighter jet that was about to take off. Wang Xinyao also felt something was definitely wrong, and she hurriedly protected the little girls, feeling vaguely worried. Yi Xian looked at everyone retreating, nodded, and then pressed a button. Suddenly, a fierce flame spurted out from behind the exhaust of the plane. All of a sudden, the temperature around seemed to rise a lot, and everyone felt a heat wave coming. Wang Xinyao was stunned when she saw this scene, her mouth wide open, looking at it in disbelief. This. At this moment, Yi Xian pressed another button again, and almost at the same time, a roar exploded in everyone's ears. Boom! Following the roar, a gust of air suddenly exploded on the spot, and for a moment the surroundings were filled with flying sand and rolling yellow sand. Then the plane ejected directly, and after gliding for a while, it pierced straight into the sky like a towering arrow. Chapter 93 I Can't Catch Up. The wind and waves almost blew several people over, and Wang Xinyao was completely stunned. The girls couldn't contain their excitement at this moment, jumping up and down and clapping their hands. So handsome. I like it so much. Dad, this isn't a plane, it's a rocket. Hee. Dad really didn't let us down. Amid the excited shouts of the little girls, Wang Xinyao was completely shocked. This scene was simply stunning. Wang Xinyao recalled the scene of flying sand and rocks, and the speed of takeoff. Her mind went blank and goosebumps appeared all over her body. Looking up at the air waveline of the fighter jet flying into the sky, Wang Xinyao felt her breathing freeze. She took a deep breath and then let out a cry of surprise. Oh my God! It actually flew. And it flew so fast. As a professional in this field, Wang Xinyao was actually a little unsure of the speed of the plane. She just felt that she had never seen such a fast plane before. At this moment, Wang Xinyao's whole body trembled violently, and she couldn't help but look at Yi Xian, her eyes full of strange colors. This man is so mysterious. His status, wealth, and skills. Even when test flying a plane with the children, he could create such a shocking scene. The more Wang Xinyao thought about it, the more surprised she became. This was beyond her understanding. But at this moment, there was a sudden roar in the sky. Wang Xinyao and the other girls looked upwards, only to see that the fighter jets above had already broken through the clouds and were flying wildly in the sky. Everyone was even more shocked at this moment. This speed was beyond their imagination. Wow! This is too fast. Ah! My eyes can hardly catch it. This is definitely a rocket. The girls widened their eyes at this time, trying to catch the silhouette of the plane in the sky, but it felt so difficult. Wang Xinyao only felt her eyelids twitching violently, and she couldn't believe that what she saw was real. At this time, her hair stood up, her eyes were fixed on the plane in the sky, and her palms were full of sweat. Too fast. This plane is too fast. Wang Xinyao didn't know how to describe her feelings at this moment. It was like a dream. Is this still a model airplane? There was inevitably a big question mark in Wang Xinyao's eyes, and she felt that her three views were about to collapse. At this time, she looked at Yi Xian again. Yi Xian was staring at the operating table on the laptop. Wang Xinyao was shocked and looked over too. Although the operating table was all in English, Wang Xinyao was able to understand it. She also had no problem with some professional terms since she was in a similar field. As the saying goes, laymen watch the excitement while experts watch the details. Wang Xinyao looked at the data on the operating table and saw a big Arabic numeral 7 behind the speed parameter at first glance. She was stunned. Mach 7. Wang Xinyao was shocked once again at this time, thinking that Mach 7, which is 7 times the speed of sound, is equivalent to a speed of about 2,500 meters per second. The fastest aircraft in China now is just a supersonic aircraft, with a speed of only 3 to 400 meters per second. But the fighter plane that Yi Xian is currently testing has reached 7 times the speed of sound. Wang Xinyao already suspected that she was dreaming at this time, and it seemed that all this was fake. What does that mean? This means that the plane built by Yi Xian has already crushed China's fastest fighter jet in seconds. It hurts. Wang Xinyao pinched it hard at this time, and the pain was transmitted to the nerve center, and she felt it clearly. I am not dreaming. Feeling the pain, Wang Xinyao felt dizzy. All of this was real. The plane that I doubted could fly just now actually reached a speed that surpassed the entire China and the entire world. At the same time, passengers on a plane in the air were enjoying the scenery outside, but suddenly they heard a loud noise. Boom! The sound attracted everyone, even those who were still dozing off were awakened, and they all looked out the window. Suddenly, everyone saw a small object flying through the air. Although it was far away from them, the sound pierced the sky, like a thunderous explosion. Moreover, this thing broke through the clouds and flew away at such a fast speed that it was even more astonishing when compared with the plane everyone was riding at the time. It can be said that the object whose shadow was invisible just now passed by in an instant. At this time, everyone's faces were full of question marks, and they were staring at each other, looking at each other, and no one knew what was going on. What is this thing that flew past so fast? Did you all see that? Something just flew by. It was so fast. I saw it, and the sound was so piercing even from such a distance. My ears are still hurting now. What is this? Is it an alien? People were talking about it at this time, and the plane suddenly became a mess. Even the flight attendants who were distributing drinks in the corridor were looking at the direction where the object had just disappeared into the clouds. They were extremely surprised, with shock surging in their eyes like raging storms. They have been flying for such a long time, 365 days a year, and more than 300 days on the plane, but they have never encountered such a situation. They thought to themselves, could it be that this time they really encountered the legendary UFO? At the same time, many people nearby also noticed the loud noise in the air, and their ears felt as if they were pricked by needles, causing a sharp pain. Then everyone looked up at the sky, trying to find the source of the sound, but they only saw an unidentified object flying out horizontally at an extremely fast speed. Even if everyone stared closely, they could only barely catch a glimpse of an afterimage. For a moment, everyone was stunned. While discussing this, people also started to debate, what on earth could this thing be that could reach such a speed? But they had no way of estimating. They didn't even see the approximate appearance of this thing clearly. They could only guess that it was a fighter jet. They had no idea what else it was. Of course, there are also many conspiracy theorists who believe that this is an alien aircraft. They all conclude that the current Earth does not have the ability to create an aircraft of such speed. The previous wave of raids was the aliens coming to the Earth to explore for intelligence. At the same time, in an independent building at Jinling Airport, an urgent alarm suddenly sounded. All the people in the supervision team couldn't help but shudder at this moment, and then a middle-aged man in uniform led a team into the room where the alarm had just been sounded.
What's going on? Why are you sounding the alarm?
The middle-aged man asked with a frown, worried that something serious had happened.
We seem to have found UFO.
What? In an instant, everyone who walked in was stunned, including the staff next to them, and they were frantically saying in their hearts, "What is wrong with this person? The leader is here, and he is still talking nonsense like this."
No, look carefully. How come the aliens are here?
The middle-aged man said seriously that he did not quite believe such remarks. The person who spoke just now stared at the data on the screen, took a deep breath, and then continued.
We just found a flying machine.
It's not very big, only about 1 or 2 meters long, and it doesn't fly very high, but... Having said this, the man paused for a moment, his mouth suddenly dry. He picked up the water cup beside him and took a big gulp before continuing. But that thing is so fast, it's beyond imagination. When the middle-aged man heard this, his brows furrowed even more, and he looked at him with wide eyes and asked seriously.
How fast is this thing?
The man glanced at the screen again, swallowed his saliva, straightened his tongue, looked at the middle-aged man, and said with some trembling.
Mach 7. Boom.
Suddenly, everyone in the room was shocked.
Mach 7. This is not a joke. At this moment, everyone present had a stunned expression, their mouth corners twitching slightly, and their minds were running calculations. What exactly is the speed of Mach 7?
But everyone was so surprised that their thoughts were almost stagnant. They were all experts in this field, but now they couldn't figure anything out.
What on earth was this? Mach 7. This is impossible.
One of the staff members couldn't figure it out at all, and he opened the converter on the computer in front of him with trembling hands.
He input this astonishing number with trembling fingers, and suddenly pressed the enter key. He was completely dumbfounded. Mach 7, this is 7 times the speed of sound. This is an unprecedented and unparalleled realm.
The others also came to their senses at this time, and they all gasped and felt like their heads were about to explode.
This is so scary, I can't believe it's real.
In addition to being shocked, the leader also realized the seriousness of the matter and murmured.
Could this be a foreign reconnaissance plane?
When everyone heard this, they were slightly stunned, but then they shook their heads and spoke seriously.
No. This is impossible. This is really too fast. It is simply impossible to achieve.
Not to mention a country, even if the scientific and technological forces of the entire world are combined, it is impossible to create such a thing at this stage. In today's world, it should be impossible for a flying machine to have such a speed. This is beyond common sense and is not in line with the pace of human development. The middle-aged man nodded, and when he thought about it, it was indeed the case. No, we have to send someone to intercept this thing. We have to see what kind of monster it is. At this time, the middle-aged man gave the order in a firm tone. But the monitor just now shook his head and sighed. No, it seems that this aircraft cannot be detected after entering the clouds. Moreover, at this speed, even our most advanced fighter jets can't intercept it, and missiles can't catch up.
Chapter 94. Are we stupid? In an instant, after hearing this, everyone was stunned.
Their first thought was to intercept it, but now they thought carefully. Yes, at 7 times the speed of sound, how could they intercept it?
What kind of missile could catch up?
The middle-aged man was also stunned at this time. After a moment of silence, the leader took out his phone and muttered.
Okay, I'll report this to my superiors right away.
At this time, Yi Xian, Wang Xinyao and others were also looking at the data on the console. Yi Xian stared at the speed parameters and nodded. He was quite satisfied with the result.
Won't this collide with other planes in the air?
Wang Xinyao was also shocked when she saw the data and couldn't help but ask a question. According to her understanding, if this plane encountered other flights in the air, it would be difficult to stop at this speed, or it could be said that it would be impossible to stop. Moreover, if the sonic boom is at a close distance, it will also have a significant impact on aircraft on the route.
It's okay, it won't happen.
Yi Xian shook his head and smiled confidently.
Don't worry about this problem. It has already carried the tower information. It can obtain the tower's navigation information and will also intelligently plan a safe flight route.
So, it's impossible for this to happen.
Don't worry about it. Wang Xinyao nodded silently and suddenly felt dizzy. The technological content of this thing has exceeded her understanding. The little girls next to him were also watching Yi Xian operating the plane. They were eager to try it out and said to Yi Xian pitifully, "Dad, we want to play too, okay?" Wang Xinyao looked at the girls and immediately shook her head to refuse. "No, this is too dangerous. You can't play this." "Ah. Why?" The girls immediately became unhappy, looking at Wang Xinyao angrily and speaking in a baby voice. "Mom, do you want to play by yourself, so you don't let us play?" After hearing this, Wang Xinyao was so angry that she laughed. She thought to herself that even if it was just given to her to play with, she wouldn't dare to play. If an aircraft traveling at Mach 7 were to fall down due to improper operation, it would be a real disaster. "Well, you can play if you want." Wang Xinyao was thinking about it when Yi Xian suddenly said something. "What?" Wang Xinyao immediately looked at Yi Xian in disbelief. Was he really going to give such a thing to a few little girls to play with? This is not something they can play with. However, you have to wait until next time. The fuel is not enough this time, and it needs to be strengthened again. Hearing that she couldn't play this time, Wang Xinyao breathed a sigh of relief, but she always felt that something was wrong. When she thought about it for a moment, she was even more stunned. No! A flying machine that has reached this level actually needs to be strengthened further. Isn't this fast enough? Do we need Mach 10 to be satisfied? All right. The little girls nodded. Although they felt a little regretful, they didn't think about it anymore. Yi Xian looked at the data on the console at this time, then looked at the staff beside him, and said seriously, "Come back later, we still need to revise the drawings. Also, some special alloys may be used. The weight of the current overall fuselage needs to be optimized. While ensuring speed, we also have to take stability into consideration." Yi Xian discussed with the staff and talked about all the places where the aircraft needed to be modified. Wang Xinyao was listening on the side. Although she was from this field, she didn't quite understand these things and felt completely confused. It feels like I am a primary school student, standing in front of a group of top academics, listening to them talk about calculus. Afterwards, the plane quickly landed back under Yi Xian's operation, and after the reverse thrust device, it landed steadily on the ground. Wang Xinyao looked at the plane and Yi Xian beside it, and suddenly felt a sense of admiration. A few little girls looked at the plane and were also fond of it. They wanted to go forward and touch it, but were stopped by Yi Xian. "Don't get close. After all, this is an aircraft that is traveling at 7 times the speed of sound. Even though it has extremely strong heat dissipation materials and devices, the temperature on the surface is still unimaginable." Wang Xinyao understood this, and immediately grabbed a few little girls and prevented them from getting close. "So what should we do now? Just wait here?" Yi Xian looked at the maids' longing expressions and nodded slightly. Then Wang Xinyao and a few maids sat here with their legs crossed and waited, while Yi Xian told them historical stories. Wang Xinyao also felt Yi Xian's erudition at this time, and wondered if there was anything in this world that Yi Xian didn't know. While the story was still being told peacefully here, a staff member hurriedly walked into a special room in the distance and reported anxiously to the leader inside. "That object has fallen. It fell right here in the suburbs. This is an abandoned factory. Leader, what should we do now?" When the leader heard this, he immediately slammed the table, stood up, waved his hand and shouted, "Let's go now. We'll go right away. Also, notify all relevant departments at all levels and mobilize them all." At this time, Wang Xinyao and others were still waiting for the plane to cool down. The little girls looked at the plane, which was neither big nor small, and immediately looked at Yi Xian in confusion. "Dad, how are we going to move this plane back?" Yi Xian smiled lightly and said calmly, "It's okay, just find someone to take it back." As they were talking, suddenly, sirens sounded all around, and then armed personnel with live ammunition completely surrounded the place. Soon after, the leader of the special department also arrived, striding towards the place that was previously surrounded by a group of armed men. At this time, he saw several people at the scene and the test machine that was cooling down on the side. For a moment, the leader almost stumbled and fell to the ground. He looked at the scene in surprise and felt his scalp tingling. Not only him, almost everyone present was stunned. No one could believe that this Mach 7 thing was actually made by these ordinary people. "What are you doing?" The leader took a deep breath and then walked up to ask everyone. "We are testing the aircraft. The girls didn't realize what was happening and answered innocently. Nonsense. Do you know that this is very dangerous? If your aircraft collides with another plane or crashes, it will be a horrific disaster. The leader cleared his throat and spoke seriously to Yi Xian and others. But before Yi Xian, Wang Xinyao and other staff members could explain anything, a few little girls spoke first. Oh no. No, my dad has already told me that this plane has advanced artificial intelligence and can obtain information from the control tower, so it won't crash. Besides, if it loses control, it can trigger the self-destruct device. The leader looked at the girls who were so fearless and suddenly didn't know what to say. What the hell? This thing is so advanced. After listening to what the girls said, the leader couldn't help but look at the plane a few more times, but he couldn't see what it was for a while, so he had to give up. At that moment, the leader didn't know what to say. He sighed, looked at Yi Xian and others and said, "Okay, then come back with us and accept the investigation." As he was speaking, several armed men walked towards Yi Xian. Yi Xian waved his hand, looked at the leader and said with a smile, "You are affiliated with the Southeastern Division of the Yanhuan Military Department, right? The Southeastern Division should still be managed by Zhang Qingtian, right?" Everyone was stunned at this time and looked at Yi Xian in surprise. How did this person know the name of the head of their Southeast branch? Yi Xian looked at the stunned expressions of the crowd and said to the leader, "No problem, just give him a call." The man nodded, dialed the number immediately and pressed the speakerphone. "Have you arrived at the scene? Bring the people back to me first." Yi Xian smiled and said unhappily, "Qingtian, what are you talking about? Who are you going to take back?" Ah. The person on the other side was stunned for a few seconds, then let out a cry of surprise. "You are the instructor." Boom. As soon as these words came out, everyone present was in an uproar. What's going on? This guy is actually the instructor of their military region's top leader. Ah. This is fake, right? This person is so young, how is this possible? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Everyone was shocked at this moment, no one could believe that what they saw was real. The leading leader widened his eyes at this time, looking at Yi Xian like a hungry wolf, his mind in a mess. First, it was a Mach 7 aircraft. Then, it was a top instructor. He had experienced so many thrills in this day. It seems that I should always have quick-acting heart-saving pills on hand from now on. The leader took a deep breath and felt a pain in his heart. Even if Yi Xian in front of him said that he was an alien, he probably wouldn't be that surprised. "All right. I'll leave this place to you. You can take the plane with you too. Just hand this plane over to the 6th generation aircraft R&D department." As he spoke, Yi Xian looked at the staff members beside him and gave them instructions. "You must remember the revision suggestions I just mentioned. They are crucial." The staff members nodded heavily, and Yi Xian then left with Wang Xinyao and the little girls with peace of mind. At this time, there were only a group of people standing here, staring at each other, waiting for the plane to cool down. It was as if the air had solidified and time had stood still. There was silence until Yi Xian and others left. Are we quite stupid now? The leader looked at several relevant personnel on the side and said half doubtfully and half affirmatively. The people next to him looked at him, not knowing whether to nod or shake their heads. Chapter 95 Arrival at Lei's house. On the way home, the little girls were still excitedly talking about the plane they had just taken. They curled up in Yi Xian's arms, looking at him infatuatedly and said, "Dad, can you let us play with this plane next time?" Yi Xian looked at the little girls' longing expressions and nodded lovingly. "Okay. Dad promises you." Afterwards, everyone returned home, and Yi Xian played with a few little girls in the villa. At this moment, Tang Hao received a call from the owner of the club last night. After saying a few simple words, Tang Hao pressed the mute button and then looked towards Yi Xian. Yi Xian knew that something was wrong with Tang Hao, and Wang Xinyao also understood it, and immediately took the 5 little girls and walked inside. "What is Dad going to do?" Xiaoxi and Xiaozi still looked reluctant to leave and asked Wang Xinyao. Wang Xinyao didn't explain anything, she just picked up the 2 girls and walked inside. Tang Hao watched Wang Xinyao and the girls go in, then looked towards Yi Xian and spoke softly. "Brother Yi, the Lei family invited us to the southeast Linhai city. I think it's because of what happened last night. It seems to be a Hongmen banquet." When Yi Xian heard the words Hongmen banquet, he immediately laughed and said calmly, "This is not a Hongmen banquet, but the Lei family is quite interesting." When he said this, a hint of cruelty emanated from Yi Xian's eyes, and his voice suddenly turned cold. It seems that these people are used to bullying others in the southeast, and they need someone to help them relax their muscles. "Okay, I have nothing to do here, so I might as well go take a look." Afterwards, Yi Xian and Tang Hao discussed for a few more sentences, and then Yi Xian walked in, looked at the girls, and said with a smile, "Girls, Daddy will take you to Southeast Linhai City to play, okay?" "Good." When the girls heard the news, they jumped up and threw themselves into Yi Xian's arms. They were so happy. Wang Xinyao watched from the side and nodded with a smile. After all, she had just finished her research and had a lot of time. At this time, in the club, the boss hung up the phone tremblingly, then looked up at the burly men in front of him with murderous faces. The teacup on the table had been smashed into pieces. There was a lingering fear in the boss's eyes at this moment, and his body was still trembling slightly. He had not intended to tell Mr. Yi's phone number, let alone call Mr. Yi, but the man in the lead just now crushed the teacup with one hand. Moreover, the big man just now was full of murderous intent, and he also knew that if he didn't do as he was told, the next thing that would be crushed might be his head. Then he stood up, looked at the people in front of him, and was about to say something. "Let's go. Go back and report to the patriarch. Then we will wait for this person in Linhai City." The few people didn't pay any attention to the boss at this time. They just shouted at him and left. The boss watched them leave. After a long time, he heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that they didn't come in again. "Oh, these people are so scary." The boss picked up the teapot on the table. The teacup was broken, so he had to take a big gulp from the spout of the teapot. After slumping in the chair for more than 10 minutes, the boss slowly calmed down. Looking at the empty office, he still felt a little scared. Thinking of this, the boss quickly picked up the phone and called Tang Hao again, but all he got in the end were just two short words: "It doesn't matter." One day later, Lei Family Manor in Linhai City. The Lei family's manor is located in the suburbs of Linhai City. It covers a large area. Together with the golf course and garden hills in the manor, it is equivalent to an ordinary small villa area. However, this is just the territory of one family. Next to the manor is a gurgling river with clear and sparkling water. In the valley in the distance, there are birds singing and flowers blooming, accompanied by wisps of mist on the top of the mountain. It is a quiet and peaceful place. Each villa in the manor is unique and stands out like mushrooms, located next to the valley. The villa is luxuriously decorated, the facilities in the manor are complete, and there is a 24-hour guard post at the gate of the manor. The main villa in the middle of the manor stands tall among the villas. Its luxurious decoration and huge scale can be said to stand out from the surrounding villas. Different from the European designs of other villas, the style of this main villa is more Chinese. At this time, in the inner hall of the main villa, an old man was leaning on a dragon-headed cane, looking solemnly at the sky outside the window. The dragon-headed cane in the old man's hand is made of the finest sea yellow, and the dragon head on it is made of the purest gold. Every detail is extremely exquisite and looks lifelike. The most eye-catching thing is the pair of dragon eyes at the dragon head, which are carefully carved from the finest red diamonds and then inlaid. They look like they are glaring with anger and full of domineering power. Just a dragon-headed cane like this would cost at least 5 or 6 million just in terms of materials. This dragon-headed cane alone is enough to show the Lei family's financial strength, not to mention the entire set of exquisitely carved rosewood furniture with dragon patterns in the inner hall. The old man looked at the sky with a gleam of light in his eyes. Then he coughed softly, slowly sat down on a chair beside him, picked up the Zhangyang green chalcedony teacup beside him, and sipped the tea leisurely. Although the old man has gray hair and wrinkles on his face, the years are clearly visible on his face. The old man's sword-like brows, star-like eyes, and bright eyes told everyone that even though he was already in old age, he was still the terrifying person he once was. At this moment, there were still a few men standing in the inner hall. They were the same men who were in the club before. Several men stood beside the old man, looking at the old man in front of them. Their eyelids couldn't help but twitch. This is the old man of the Southeast Lei family, Lei Zhang. These guys consider themselves to be tough guys, but they seem a little young in front of this old man. Lei Zhang is a well-known figure in the circle of dignitaries in the southeast region. Even those high-ranking officials who have been in high positions for a long time could not help but shudder in their hearts when they heard this name. In the past, the Lei family was not the only dominant family in the southeast, but there were several major families merged together. But at that time, the Lei family was just a small family under several large family businesses.
But later on, the young and energetic Lei Zhang gave up politics to go into business, and from an ordinary senior executive, he became the head of the #1 family in the southeast today.
His deeds are truly famous.
It is said that Lei Zhang took a gamble as soon as he entered the business world, and the cost was his entire fortune. In a bidding war with several major families in the southeast at that time, Lei Zhang took a gamble and won an unknown piece of land. Many people thought that Lei Zhang was just a young boy, with no vision and was extremely stupid. But less than half a year later, this piece of land was planned to be the center of the new commercial zone in the entire southeast region. Lei Zhang's sharp vision and ruthless methods are obvious to everyone. Although the so-called major families at that time knew this person, they did not take him seriously at all. But when they started to take it seriously, they found that the business status created by Lei Zhang was something they could only look up to. In this way, the old man rightfully became the head of the Lei family, and in a short period of time, he led the Lei family to become the #1 family in the southeast. Over the following decades, the Lei family's position in the southeast has gradually become entrenched, and now no one can shake it.
When the big men thought of this, they couldn't help swallowing their saliva.
Even though the other party didn't make any movements or say anything, they always felt an indescribable sense of oppression beside this person.
Zhang Liang, how is Tianlin?
The old man's eyes became stern. He put down the teacup and asked in a low voice to someone beside him. Replying to the old man, the young master's limbs were broken, he should be back soon. Lei Zhang closed his eyes and said nothing more. Not long after that, Lei Tianlin was carried in from outside in a wheelchair. As soon as he saw Lei Zhang, Lei Tianlin burst into tears and expressed his grievances in anger.
Grandpa! You have to avenge me. That man is so cruel. He relied on his status in Jiling to bully our Lei family. Grandpa, I am your most beloved grandson.
You must help me kill him. Lei Tianlin kept talking incessantly, with a hint of crazy hatred in his eyes. As he looked at his hands and feet, the hatred became more and more intense. Lei Zhang didn't say anything, just glanced at him with his eyes gloomy. Then, Zhang Liang, a man standing nearby, looked into the distance and said something in a low voice.
Master, someone is coming.
Lei Zhang paused for a moment, then a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. He stomped the dragon-headed cane in his hand and thought to himself, how brave. The main villa of the Lei family manor presents a central axis design. The inner hall is a place for receiving guests. It is connected with the middle gate and the main gate. Standing in the inner hall, you can see the main gate. Hearing the sound, everyone looked towards the main entrance and saw Yi Xian and Tang Hao stepping into the main entrance and slowly coming towards them. Their aura was amazing and their faces were calm. Everyone in the inner hall widened their eyes. No matter how they looked, only 2 people came. Chapter 96. If you dare to move, you won't survive for more than 3 seconds. Even Lei Zhang narrowed his eyes when he saw this scene. Then he walked into the inner hall, looked around, and then walked to the guest seat on his own. Seeing this, Tang Hao, who was standing next to him, poured Yi Xian a cup of tea and stood beside Yi Xian. Everyone gasped as they looked at Yi Xian's calm demeanor. Was he just pretending? Or did he really not take the Lei family seriously at all? Then, Yi Xian crossed his legs casually, took a sip of tea, put the cup aside, and said with a smile, "This tea is really just average." Then, Yi Xian looked at Lei Zhang with an indifferent expression and a smile, and said playfully, "This huge Southeast Lei family asked me to come here, and they actually gave me this kind of tea?" As he spoke, Yi Xian shook his head slightly. Lei Tianlin next to him couldn't bear it anymore. He stared at Tang Hao, then looked at Yi Xian, his face darkened and he said with disdain, "You are his master, right?" But no matter how loudly Lei Tianlin spoke, Yi Xian still acted as if he didn't see Lei Tianlin. Seeing this, Lei Tianlin became even more angry. He looked at Lei Zhang and said aggrievely, "Grandpa, it was him. He must have ordered this. And look, Grandpa, this guy is too arrogant. He doesn't take our Lei family seriously at all." Lei Zhang glanced at Yi Xian indifferently, coughed softly, looked at Yi Xian with his eyes emitting bursts of brilliance, and said calmly, "You hit my grandson. We are all young people, so it's normal for us to fight and play with each other." Halfway through his words, Lei Zhang's originally calm voice turned serious and his brows furrowed. "But you didn't know how to control your severity. You made my grandson like this. You should give me an explanation." But when Lei Zhang spoke, Yi Xian seemed not to hear him. He glanced at Lei Tianlin and whispered to Tang Hao beside him, "Cut out his tongue and dig out his eyes, right here, do it now." On the way here, Yi Xian already knew what happened in the club.
He would not show any mercy to such a guy. Okay, Brother Yi. Tang Hao nodded and agreed straightforwardly.
A man will never stop until his words are shocking.
At this moment, the entire Lei family was shocked. Arrogant. Too arrogant. Doesn't this guy know where this is? How dare you? Where do you think this place is? How can we allow people like you to run wild? With me, Zhang Liang, here, you can't touch the young master. Several big men around reacted and shouted at Yi Xian. Lei Tianlin was also stunned at this time, and then he became furious. He didn't expect that Yi Xian and the other man would still be so arrogant even after arriving here, so he started cursing at them immediately. Where do you think you are? You are on the territory of my Lei family. You are a clown, and you still want to touch me. Just because you have some power in Jinling, do you think you can still do whatever you want in the southeast? You are trash. Waste. Beast.
Yesterday you cut off my hands and feet, today I tell you the truth, you can't escape my thunder. But as he cursed, Lei Tianlin's voice became smaller and smaller, and his whole body began to tremble uncontrollably. At this time, Tang Hao, with a sneer on his face, was walking towards him. Lei Tianlin was scared. The man's smile looked like a devil to him. You, what are you doing? Don't come over here. Presumptuous. At this time, Zhang Liang and a group of men stood beside Lei Tianlin and shouted at Tang Hao. Only when he was blocked by several men did Lei Tianlin feel safe, and he started to curse again. Lei Zhang, who was standing by, picked up the teacup and took a sip. Yi Xian, who was next to Lei Zhang, also picked up the teacup again, raised it towards Lei Zhang, and gently made a collision motion. Although this tea is a bit inferior, it's still okay for gargling. I wonder if your Lei family's thugs are enough to warm up my brother? As he spoke, Yi Xian smiled and took a sip, just like a passerby watching a play in a theater, not caring about the tense situation at all. Lei Zhang's hand holding the tea trembled slightly. Looking at Yi Xian, who was treating it as his own back garden with ease, a hint of dark cruelty suddenly flashed in his eyes. Anyone looking at these tiger-like eyes would feel uncomfortable, but Yi Xian smiled and looked at Lei Zhang with a hint of smile in his eyes. At this time, Zhang Liang and others stood in front of Lei Tianlin, staring at Tang Hao in front of them, ready to attack at any time. At this time, Lei Tianlin also became fearless, and the fear just now disappeared. After all, these people have all been in Shaolin and are authentic Shaolin monks. These people all possess tremendous strength, and their skills are, needless to say, they are all top-notch. Tang Hao looked at Zhang Liang and others standing in front of him, but he still did not choose to stop. Instead, he looked at everyone with disdain and said coldly, "No one is involved. Get out." Lei Zhang was watching this scene from the side and could no longer suppress his inner anger. He was so furious that he pounded the dragon head cane hard. Immediately afterwards, Zhang Liang and others rushed forward without holding back at all, using all their real killing skills. But these guys were no match for Tang Hao. Tang Hao remained calm and defeated them one by one, and finally kicked Zhang Liang out. Zhang Liang was the one who suffered the most. He fell directly on the tables and chairs behind him. The tables and chairs were immediately smashed by this force, and a cloud of sawdust rose in the air. Puff! Zhang Liang collapsed on the ground, enduring the severe pain all over his body, looking at Tang Hao in disbelief, and suddenly spurted out a mouthful of blood, unable to get up again. At this moment, the entire hall was silent and everyone was stunned. Even when faced with huge changes in the world, old man Lei Zhanglei, who usually remained calm and composed, was stunned at this moment. The teacup in his hand a second ago fell to the ground with a bang. Bang! Suddenly, the teacup broke into pieces and the tea spilled all over the floor. Quick! Protect the young master and the old master. At this moment, a roar was heard outside, followed by a rush of footsteps, and a group of people stepped into the inner hall, all holding guns in their hands. Yi Xian glanced at the team that had just walked in, picked up the teacup as if nothing had happened, took a sip of tea, looked at Lei Zhang, and said lightly, "If they dare to raise their guns, I can guarantee that no one present will survive for more than 3 seconds, and the entire Lei family will not survive for more than half a day. If you don't believe it, you can give it a try." In just 2 sentences, although Yi Xian's tone was calm, it made people's hearts tremble and feel a burst of murderous aura. This kind of murderous aura can only be emitted so violently by someone who has walked out of a sea of blood and corpses. Lei Zhang was frightened when he saw Yi Xian's eyes full of cruelty and indifference. He stood up suddenly and was even trembling slightly. Thump! Suddenly, Lei Zhang could no longer hold the dragon-headed cane in his hand,
and it fell to the ground with a crisp sound. And this voice also struck heavily on the hearts of everyone in the Lei family at this moment. They looked at the old man in a daze, looking so frightened and at a loss, and the dragon-headed cane that fell to the ground, and were stunned. Everyone could see that the old man was scared. This man who once dominated the southeast and made countless people tremble with fear, is now afraid. Okay, don't worry, it's your turn now. After dealing with a few big men, Tang Hao walked towards Lei Tianlin in the wheelchair with a smile. Grandpa! Save me! You! Don't come over here! I was wrong! I was wrong! I was so shameless! Lei Tianlin was completely frightened at this time, his whole body was shaking, his face turned pale, and snot and tears came out. But Tang Hao walked slowly towards him, and the click sound of his footsteps on the ground was like a death knell for him. After a while, the only sounds left in the hall were Lei Tianlin's screams. The scream was truly breathtaking, as if it was the wailing of someone being punished in hell. When all this was done, Lei Tianlin's face was covered in blood, he no longer looked like a human, and he was still crying on the ground. But not long after, he fainted from the pain. Yi Xian looked at this scene, nodded with satisfaction, stood up, looked at Lei Zhang, and said with a smile. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first. But I have to say that your Lei family's hospitality is the worst I've ever seen in so many noble families. After speaking, Yi Xian took out a handkerchief and handed it to Tang Hao in front of him. Tang Hao took it and wiped the blood off his hands, then walked towards the door with Yi Xian. A group of people instinctively made way and let them walk out of the Lei family. Lei Zhang was slumped in a chair at this time, looking at the two people's backs as they walked away, and then looking at Zhang Liang on the ground who was breathing out but not in, his pupils suddenly contracted. He knew Zhang Liang's strength. He was a coach-level figure among all the Shaolin monks. But such a tough guy was defeated by Tang Hao in just one move. Who is this person? Everyone present was stunned at this moment. The captain outside came in at this time, looked at Lei Tianlin on the ground, took a breath, was silent for a moment, and then said helplessly, "Go to the doctor immediately." Then, the captain walked up to Mr. Lei Zhanglei and asked with a serious expression, "Grandpa, is this person from one of the 8 major families in China?" 8 major families. This one sentence made Lei Zhang's eyes freeze. The 8 major families are the families derived from the earliest 8 surnames in the entire China, namely Jiang, Ji Gui, Xi Qing, Ji Yao, and Sun. Although their Lei family is the number 1 family in the southeast, if they are really compared with the 8 major families, they are far inferior. Lei Zhang was slumped in the chair, not saying a word, looking at the empty front door, with a myriad of thoughts in his mind. Although he found out that this person was not among the 8 major surnames, but now it seems that the combat power of his subordinates is so terrifying. He is afraid that it is just as the captain of the guard said, he is a person from the 8 major families who used a pseudonym. Speaking of people from the 8 major families, they actually have this method. This time, the Lei family might have really hit a wall. Lei Zhang looked at the mess around him and gradually fell into deep thought. Chapter 97 Yi Xian's Contribution. Looking at the inner hall of the Lei family, which was once brightly lit, it was now silent and empty. Only Lei Zhang was left slumped in the chair, closing his eyes in deep thought. After a long time, Lei Zhang opened his eyes with a complicated look in his eyes, and spoke to the captain of the guard beside him. "Pass my message on. Everyone in the Lei family should behave themselves during this period of time and avoid getting into trouble." At this moment, this old man who once held the supreme status in the southeast and now has a hint of fear in his eyes. "Yes." The captain of the guard agreed, and then walked out of the inner hall. His steps were heavy, and he was no longer as calm as before. After leaving the Lei family, Tang Hao drove and took Yi Xian to the Tianxingfu Villa area in Linhai City. As the premier villa area in the entire Linhai City, it has a beautiful environment and beautiful scenery. Sitting on a whole forest on the upper reaches of the Moon River, Tianqing Mansion is located in the suburbs. It has convenient transportation, and the air and temperature are extremely pleasant. Compared with the Yulanshan Pavilion in Jinling, although the Tianqing Mansion has its own merits, they are equally luxurious. Yi Xian walked into Villa number 1 here. Several little girls were playing on the 2nd floor at this time. When they heard the door opening downstairs, they knew that their father had returned, and immediately ran down to greet him. "Dad! You're back!" Several little girls walked down the stairs with bangs on their feet and threw themselves directly into Yi Xian's arms, while Wang Xinyao also walked down behind them with a smile. "Dad, what are you doing?" Yi Yan looked at Yi Xian angrily, as if blaming him for not taking her with him.
The other girls also focused their attention on Yixian's going out and asked one after another.
Yeah, Dad, you left as soon as we got here. What on earth did you go for? Is Dad going to get into any trouble? Ha, Dad didn't go anywhere. He just went out to do something with Uncle Tang.
Dad has to pay the water and electricity bills, otherwise the house we live in now will be pitch black at night, and we can't take a shower or cook. Yixian rubbed the girls' heads and comforted them, giving a more appropriate reason.
Really?
Yi Jing put her hands on her hips and looked at Yixian suspiciously.
Of course it's true. Yixian nodded again.
Several girls stared at Yixian's face closely. After making sure that there was no change in Yixian's expression, they pouted and nodded.
All right. Afterwards, several girls pulled Yixian towards the back, talking excitedly as they walked. Dad! Dad! That swimming pool out back is so big. We want to go down and play, but we can't swim. Dad, can you teach us to swim?
Yixian looked at the excited girls and nodded with a smile.
You guys want to learn how to swim? Then go change your clothes. There should be a special swimsuit room over by the swimming pool. Good.
The little guys nodded, and then ran to the back in a swarm. Soon, the girls changed into their swimsuits and walked towards the swimming pool in 2 steps. At this time, Yixian was already waiting by the swimming pool, shirtless, wearing only a pair of tight swimming trunks, showing off his figure to the fullest.
Dad! Dad! Can we go down now?
Several little girls looked up at Yixian, looking eager to try.
Okay, but you have to go to the shallow water. Dad will slowly teach you how to swim. Aha!
After a few girls followed Yixian to the shallow water area, they walked down the steps into the swimming pool. The water temperature was just right, neither too cold nor too hot, and it felt quite comfortable.
Girls, look here, Daddy will teach you the moves. First, move your arms naturally in the air, then insert your fingertips into the water.
After saying that, Yixian began to swing his arms and kick his legs in the shallow water in a standard manner. His skilled freestyle posture pierced through the resistance like a sharp sword in the water. It seemed that he possessed both strength and beauty.
Wow! Dad is so awesome. Dad is so handsome. I want to learn.
Several little girls watched with their mouths wide open. Yixian's series of actions just now were so perfect, without any flaws. Even the world champion of this event would find it pleasing to the eye. After Yixian demonstrated it once, several little girls began to practice in the water, but at the beginning, they still choked on a lot of water.
Ahem. Dad. It hurts so much.
Yishi choked several times and threw herself into Yixian's arms, saying pitifully,
Don't be afraid, Xiaoxi. If you want to learn how to swim, you must not be afraid of choking on water. Dad believes you can do it.
Yishi opened her eyes wide and looked at Yixian, nodding heavily. After getting Yixian's encouragement, the girls no longer cared about choking on water and concentrated on learning the movements. In addition, later on, Yixian also taught the girls a lot of breathing and breath-holding techniques, and the girls gradually became familiar with swimming. Gradually, these little girls, although not very skilled yet, were able to swim in the water. After studying for a while, the girls felt tired and started a water fight. Yixian watched from the side and joined in to play from time to time.
Dad, watch out.
A few girls were giggling foolishly, and when they saw Yixian coming, they quickly united their front and targeted Yixian. For a moment, there was water splashing all around, and even Yixian's hair was wet by the girls.
Yeah. We won.
Several girls looked at Yixian's embarrassed appearance and immediately cheered. Girls, don't be too proud too soon. Yixian walked towards the girls with a smile and gently splashed water on them, but tried his best to avoid their eyes.
Ah! Dad is coming. Run!
Yi Yun yelled, and several girls immediately ran to the side. Wang Xinyao was outside at this time and had no intention of coming in, but when she heard the laughter of Yixian and a few girls, she had an idea and gritted her teeth and went to change into a swimsuit. Not long after, Wang Xinyao came out of the changing room wearing a blue swimsuit. Her hair was tied up and she was walking towards this side barefoot. Wang Xinyao has a top-notch figure to begin with, and she looks even hotter in a tight swimsuit. The blush on her face makes her already charming smile even more seductive. Her exposed skin was fair, translucent, rosy, and delicate. Every angle she looked at it was a wonderful landscape painting. There are also those slender, graceful, icy and soft legs, and the snow-white chest that cannot be restrained even by a swimsuit. There are only 2 words to describe it: plump.
When Yi Xian saw this scene, he thought to himself that it seemed to be a lot bigger than before. Then he looked at the little girls playing beside him. This should be considered his own credit. Chapter 98. What are you thinking about? Wang Xinyao also noticed Yi Xian's gaze at this time. Her cheeks, which were already flushed, became even more rosy. At the same time, she also noticed Yi Xian's figure. For a moment, Wang Xinyao was stunned. These bronze-colored muscles and chocolate abdominal muscles that exude a strong hormonal scent, set against the backdrop of tall and strong pectoral muscles and broad back muscles, look like a perfect ancient Greek body statue. Those muscles, as if carved with a knife or an axe, are so perfect that it is unimaginable, and as charming as the golden ratio. Wang Xinyao's beautiful eyes trembled as she watched. Yi Xian's figure at this moment was even better than when they met that night a few years ago. Seeing Wang Xinyao standing aside in a daze, looking a little shy, Yi Xian raised a smile and walked up to her, holding her hand. A few little girls were playing in the water nearby, and when they saw the scene, they also started to make a noise. Shame on you. Mom and Dad are holding hands. Wow. Mom and Dad are so sweet. Is this the dog food Aunt Evian is talking about? Feeling the warmth in Yi Xian's palm and the cheers of the little girls beside her, Wang Xinyao's face felt like a ripe apple, hot. She didn't dare to look at Yi Xian anymore and simply lowered her head. Now that you've changed your clothes, let's go play in the water. Yi Xian moved closer to Wang Xinyao's face and spoke softly. Good. Wang Xinyao agreed in a low voice, and then was pulled by Yi Xian and walked towards the swimming pool. When the girls saw their mother coming down, they splashed water at Wang Xinyao with smiles on their faces. You girls. Wang Xinyao frowned slightly and glared at the girls, but there was a hint of a smile on her face. As she felt the water in the swimming pool flowing down the steps and gradually covering her body, Wang Xinyao felt increasingly nervous, and the hand she was holding with Yi Xian became much tighter. Yi Xian noticed Wang Xinyao's mood, looked at her with concern, and asked gently. Xinyao, what's wrong with you? I can't swim. Wang Xinyao seemed a little embarrassed and spoke timidly in a low voice. It's okay, I'll teach you. Yi Xian smiled and held Wang Xinyao's shoulders, causing Wang Xinyao's body to tremble slightly again. This distance, coupled with the skin contact, made Wang Xinyao's heart beat wildly and her cheeks feel hot, making it all seem like a dream, yet making her obsessed. Good. Wang Xinyao nodded gently, and Yi Xian took her hand and walked to a wider place on the side. Yi Xian first demonstrated the swimming movements and briefly explained the key points, and then the two of them moved to the edge of the swimming pool. Xinyao, hold on to the edge of the pool, lift your body up, and then use your feet to paddle the water as I taught you just now. Wang Xinyao nodded, then leaned against the edge of the swimming pool, placed her delicate hands on the stone wall beside the pool, and gently floated up. But she seemed a little unstable, or perhaps she had not yet overcome her fear of water, and Wang Xinyao's body was shaking a little. At this moment, Yi Xian's hand gently supported Wang Xinyao's abdomen, and her originally shaking body became stable. But then, Wang Xinyao's body twitched slightly again, her face flushed charmingly, and she secretly looked at Yi Xian beside her. She felt Yi Xian's hands supporting her smooth abdomen, as if transmitting some kind of warmth. Xinyao, try to move. Wang Xinyao nodded and began to move her legs gently, but she was not very skilled and her movements were a little awkward. Yi Xian patiently helped her and quickly corrected her movements. Very good, next we are going to learn the hand movements, which is the key to learning how to swim. After Wang Xinyao had mastered the rhythm of her legs, Yi Xian held Wang Xinyao's belly with one hand and her legs with the other, and put Wang Xinyao down. Come on, Xinyao, look at me and pay attention to my movements. Wang Xinyao nodded slightly, but her expression was dazed. She was too close to the man just now, and their heartbeats and breathing were so clear. In addition, Yi Xian gently touched her belly and legs, and her face was so red at this moment. Or, just give it to him again tonight. Wang Xinyao murmured in her heart while staring at Yi Xian's perfect body in front of her. But then Wang Xinyao looked at the little girls around her inside. This is what she wants to give, but the little guys probably won't let her do it. She also knew these days that these girls surrounded Yi Xian every night. What are you thinking about? Yi Xian, who was standing by, saw Wang Xinyao in a daze, patted her shoulders gently, and asked with a smile. Chapter 99. No need. No, it's okay. Wang Xinyao came back to her senses and shook her head. Afterwards, everyone continued swimming in the swimming pool and then came out to take a shower. Yi Xian changed his clothes and went to the kitchen to prepare dinner for everyone. At this time, the family sat together, and the girls ate with relish.
They also paid attention to Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao's actions from time to time, for fear of missing the scene of showing off their love.
Dad, let's go out for a run later.
Yi Jing didn't know what she was thinking about at this moment.
She ate while talking in a baby voice. You all want to go?
Yi Xian looked at the other girls, and also at Wang Xinyao.
Dad, we all want to go. We haven't been there in a long time.
When the other girls heard about going out for a run, they were also eager to try and became excited.
Okay. It's good to go out and exercise.
Wang Xinyao also agreed with this idea. Yi Xian nodded and said with a smile.
Well, then we'll all go out later. Yeah.
The girls shouted excitedly and ate much faster.
Time passed quickly, and after dinner, everyone quickly changed into sportswear.
Then, Yi Xian took a few maids and Wang Xinyao and walked outside.
After running for a while, everyone ran to the square.
At this time, there were already quite a few people on the square, all of whom were out for a walk and play. After arriving at the crowded place, the little guys became more excited, looking left and right around, with their innocent eyes full of interest in everything.
Wow! There's something fun here.
Yi Xia suddenly pointed at a few stalls nearby and shouted to the girls beside him.
Yi Xian also looked over there.
There were some stalls where people were shooting guns, throwing darts, or throwing rings to win dolls.
It looks like fun. Ah! That little bunny stuffed animal is so cute. I want it so badly.
The little ones looked at the piles of dolls beside them, their eyes sparkling, and then they threw themselves into Yi Xian's arms.
Dad, we want it.
Yi Shi pulled Yi Xian's clothes, pouted her lips, and looked into Yi Xian's eyes expectantly.
Good.
Yi Xian smiled and rubbed the little guy's head, then walked to the stall in front.
Boss. How much per session?
When the middle-aged boss saw someone coming, he hurried over enthusiastically.
Hello? 20 yuan a time.
Okay, let's do it a few times first. After asking the price, Yi Xian took out $100 bill from his pocket and handed it to the boss. The boss's face lit up with joy, thinking that this man looked like a big investor, and he would make some money this time.
However, he didn't know that what would happen tonight might be very different from what he imagined. Okay. Are you going to use a gun or a dart?
Yi Xian looked at the air guns and darts displayed on it and chose the gun without much hesitation.
Use a gun.
Afterwards, Yi Xian picked up the gun and performed skilled tactical moves, aiming the gun and moving the 3 points in a straight line, all in one go. Yi Xian's family immediately attracted a lot of people around, who gathered around to watch the fun. Looking at these 5 lively and cute little girls, as well as Wang Xinya with a smile on her face beside the girls, and then looking at the handsome Yi Xian who was standing up with a gun in hand, the people around them immediately started talking.
Oh my god! Is this the winner in life?
Not only does he have a pretty wife, but his daughters are also so cute.
TSK TSK TSK.
I just wanted a daughter, but 2 in a row were sons.
Look at her, ah. Wait. These girls seem to be pretty similar. They might be quintuplets.
And this family is so good looking. Looking at Yi Xian's family, many people feel envious. The father is handsome, the mother is beautiful, and they have several cute and well-behaved daughters.
This is simply a fairy tale family. Ah. So handsome. It's killing me.
At this time, many girls nearby noticed Yi Xian who was aiming a gun at the balloon. There was excitement in their eyes and they all covered their mouths. At this moment, Yi Xian was wearing a casual and relaxed sportswear. His sturdy and powerful figure, angular and handsome face, and the temperament in his every move made him shine among the crowd. In addition, now that Yi Xian is holding a gun, he exudes an indescribable aura and exudes charming masculinity. When these girls saw Yi Xian, they all stared at him with their eyes wide open and praised him endlessly.
He's so handsome. Do men like this really exist?
I want to marry him and I want to have children with him.
I used to not believe in love, but now I do.
But no matter how excited they were, a basin of cold water at this moment completely extinguished the fire they had just ignited.
Sisters, don't think about it. Haven't you seen that others have children?
Besides, look at other people's wives, how can we compare? A slightly more rational girl sighed, looking at Wang Xinyao's appearance and temperament, they really can't compare.
Oh. It seems so.
In an instant, the girls who had been wildly excited just now suddenly became lost, looking at Wang Xinyao and the other little girls, they were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. Several little girls were looking forward to it at this time, staring at the gun in Yi Xian's hand, clenching their fists, and cheering for Yi Xian.
Come on, Dad. Dad, you're the best. I want that little white rabbit, and I also want that little turtle. The boss standing by looked at the little girls and thought they were cute, so he said to them with a smile. Girls, whatever you want depends on your father's skills. Humph. Our dad is the best. Yi Xia pouted her lips, showing full confidence in Yi Xian. Yi Xian also nodded at this time and showed a doting smile to the little girls. Okay. Then let's look at daddies. As he spoke, Yi Xian stood up straight and moved his finger to the trigger. Bang! In an instant, Yi Xian fired a shot without hesitation, but unfortunately, the shot missed. Everyone on the side was also embarrassed. He was so confident, but it was all in vain. Yi Xian smiled slightly, looked at the gun, and realized that the boss had changed the trajectory, otherwise there was no way he would have missed the target just now. Forget it, I'll just use darts. The boss didn't say anything, then smiled and brought the dart to Yi Xian. Seeing this scene, many people burst into laughter and started talking about it. It's so funny. After all the fierce operations, the final result is like this. This guy is no good. I'd hit him if I wanted him. I thought he was a great god, but it turns out he's just a bronze one. Wang Xinyao stood beside Yi Xian, gently tucked her hair, and spoke softly. Yi Xian. But as soon as he opened his mouth, Yi Xian turned around with a smile on his face, looked into Wang Xinyao's eyes and said, What did you call me just now? Wang Xinyao was slightly stunned, then her face turned red and she spoke in a low voice. Husband. Well, should we puncture that balloon first? It looks easier to puncture. Yi Xian weighed the dart in his hand and smiled confidently. It's okay, no need. Need not. Everyone was stunned for a moment, not knowing where Yi Xian got his confidence from. But the next second, Yi Xian's action made everyone dumbfounded. Yi Xian suddenly exerted force, and in front of everyone's stunned eyes, he threw all the darts out. Bang! 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 Suddenly, all the balloons burst, and their eyes were filled with incredible light. Chapter 100 Friend, can you please not disturb my daughter's sweet dream? The boss and the passers-by were stunned. Just now they thought Yi Xian was strong on the outside but weak on the inside. But this wave actually proved that the clowns were actually themselves. Even the little ones in Wang Xinyao were shocked at this moment, their mouths opened wide. Yeah. Dad is so awesome. The scene was silent, but with the little girl Yi Xi's scream, the people around her were also excited. I didn't see it wrong. They all exploded at once. This is Xiao Li's flying dagger. I sat up in shock from my dying illness and realized that I was the clown. The boss was also convinced at this time. Seeing that all the girls were looking at the largest little rabbit doll on the side, he sighed, picked it up, and walked to Yi Xian's side. Sir! You are amazing. The boss also had a smile on his face at this time and handed the doll to Yi Xian. Yi Xian took it and then turned around. A few girls also came over with their hands open, wanting to take the doll from Yi Xian. But Yi Xian took the doll and walked to Wang Xinyao who was standing beside him. Xinyao, take it. Wang Xinyao blushed and took the doll. A few little girls pouted and immediately became unhappy. Passers-by laughed out loud when they saw this scene and chuckled at the girls. Ha ha, little girls, your parents are truly in love. It looks like you are just an accident. It seems that you are here tonight to witness the love between your parents. When the little guy heard this, he became even more unhappy and looked at Yi Xian with grievance. Dad, don't you love your daughters anymore? Seeing the girls like this, Yi Xian burst out laughing, then squatted down and pinched the girls' faces. Okay, Dad will just make a few more for you guys, right? After speaking, Yi Xian stood up and looked at the boss who was watching the fun on the side. The boss nodded, immediately understood, and then hurried to retrieve the dart. At this time, the boss still felt that Yi Xian's move just now was just a coincidence. Such a thing is really hard to accept. But soon, the boss denied his slightly naive idea. The boss walked over and tried to pull out the dart nailed to the wooden board as usual, but it slipped out of his hand without much effort. Ha! The boss exclaimed in confusion, looked to the side, and was immediately stunned. The dart actually penetrated deeply into the wooden board and directly broke through the cloth strip behind the board. The boss was terrified. What kind of power would be needed to achieve this? Moreover, it is incredible that such power can be guaranteed with such accuracy. It seems that this must not have been thrown away randomly. The boss used a lot of force to pull out the dart that was nailed on it, and handed it to Yi Xian with trembling hands. The guy next to me took advantage of this gap and quickly glued the balloon back on. Bang! 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 But then, Yi Xian threw out another dart, and suddenly a series of continuous explosions were heard. Everyone was stunned, but Yi Xian performed the operation several times in succession. It all happened so easily without any hesitation. The boss' face turned pale at this time. He suffered a huge loss after this operation. The passers-by on the side were so shocked that they were numb, their mouths were wide open, and no one said a word. Next to Yi Xian, there was a large bag filled with dolls, all of which were Yi Xian and his friends' things. The boss couldn't bear it anymore at this time, so he bent down and put a few more dolls into his pocket, then looked up at Yi Xian and said with a smile on his face, "Sir, it's so late now, are you tired?" As he spoke, the boss took out a red envelope and continued speaking politely. "Here, this is a little gift from me. Would you like to have some tea or a midnight snack?" For a moment, the onlookers were stunned again. Fuck it. This is the first time I've seen a boss give red envelopes to players, and he actually just told them to leave. It seems that this time, the boss is bleeding heavily. It's not that we can't afford to play anymore. No one can stand this. People still expressed understanding for the boss's approach. After all, anyone could tell from his expression that he had lost a lot of money. Yi Xian looked at Yi Jing beside him, then looked at the big bag full of dolls beside him. As it was really late, he smiled and nodded. Okay, Jingjing collects the money. Let's pack up our spoils and get ready to go home. Good. Yi Jing nodded heavily, accepted the red envelope handed to her by her boss, and thanked him in a baby voice. Thank you, uncle. Afterwards, Yi Xian and his friends went home contentedly, carrying a big bag full of dolls, surrounded by passers-by. As he walked, a pair of eyes in the dark stared straight at Yi Xian. For a moment, Yi Xian narrowed his eyes slightly, but then he looked at the little guys with a smile on his face and said with a smile, "Girls, are you sinking?" Several little ones were carrying the dolls together. They were so happy that they didn't feel the weight at all. They just smiled and shook their heads. Hey, it won't sink. On the road, Yi Xian and his companions were very conspicuous. After just a few steps, they were attracted by a crowd of passers-by. Looking at this astonishing number of dolls, some children also came over and looked at them with envy. Wow! So many dolls! Isn't this one at the stall in the square out front? 80% of them are. That's amazing. While people were talking about it, they were also quite surprised, but the children didn't care about it. They just looked at the dolls with longing in their eyes. Girls, can you give these kids a few dolls? Yi Xian smiled slightly and asked the little girls. Good. The little girls nodded generously, put down their pockets, took out a few dolls from them, and handed them to the children around them. Thanks. Several children nearby received gifts and were dancing excitedly while holding their dolls. The parents also smiled and thanked Yi Xian and others. Yi Xian waved his hand, and seeing that it was getting later and later, he decided not to delay any longer and continued to rush home with the girls. Not long after, everyone returned home. The little ones were busy arranging their dolls. After playing for a while, they were so sleepy that they fell asleep. In an instant, Wang Xinyao and Yi Xian were the only ones left in the room. The night is silent, but there is a charming and intoxicating atmosphere. Wang Xinyao looked at Yi Xian walking towards her, her face suddenly turned red and she closed her eyes. Finally, no one is disturbing us. Yi Xian stood beside Wang Xinyao and blew softly into her ear. These suggestive words and the gentle breath made Wang Xinyao tremble. But at this time Yi Xian narrowed his eyes again, sensing a hint of danger, and pressed Wang Xinyao's shoulder. Xinyao, go to the bedroom and accompany those little girls first. I'm going to go out for a while. It doesn't look peaceful at all. Wang Xinyao's eyes, which were originally closed, opened instantly. She became a little nervous and looked at Yi Xian worriedly and asked, "What's going on? Do you want me to call the police?" Yi Xian smiled and waved his hand calmly. It's okay, it's just a small matter. In the distance, under a dark and windy sky, a dark shadow was assembling a sniper rifle. Under the faint moonlight, the gun parts did not reflect light, and only the slight collision sound of assembly could be heard. This is a specially made sniper rifle that not only takes into account stealth, but also has an ultra-long-range shooting range.
The Black Shadow assembled the sniper rifle, raised it skillfully, aimed at a villa in the distance, and slowly placed his finger on the trigger, ready to aim and shoot the target. But the next moment, a voice came out of nowhere behind the Black Shadow.
"Friend, my daughters are all asleep, could you please not disturb their sweet dreams?" Chapter 101, Hugging the Beauty's Thighs. This cold voice, with a hint of murderous intent, made the Black Shadow's body tremble violently, and cold sweat broke out all over his body. The Black Shadow turned around suddenly and then looked at Yi Xian, who was standing behind him. "This gun is great. It looks like you came prepared."
Yi Xian glanced at the sniper rifle and said lightly.
At this moment, the Black Shadow looked at Yi Xian. As a perceptive person, he immediately felt the aura coming from Yi Xian. His eyelids twitched suddenly, and he knew that this was a man he could not defeat. In an instant, the Black Shadow was ready to grit his teeth without any hesitation. But the next second, Yi Xian flashed over at an incredible speed, grabbed his jaw, and then punched him in the abdomen with force. Puff! Suddenly, this guy spat out a mouthful of blood, and the poison in his mouth also came out. This guy was hit by Yi Xian's punch and immediately lost his ability to fight, like a dead dog. "Tell me, who is behind you?" Yi Xian threw him to the ground and asked coldly. But this guy looked at Yi Xian expressionlessly, with a hint of determination in his eyes, which was the determination to die. At the same time, this is also telling Yi Xian that he will not say anything. At this time, Tang Hao also came over, looked at the guy lying powerlessly on the ground, and said to Yi Xian, "Brother Yi, they all took poison." Waving his hand, Yi Xian looked at him and said lightly, "It doesn't matter. If we catch someone here and he doesn't tell us, let him go through all the tortures." Yi Xian's words were indifferent, without a trace of emotion. When the Black Shadow heard this, his eyes trembled and his whole body was shaking violently. "Okay, Brother Yi." Tang Hao nodded, then clapped his hands, and a few people came out from behind and took the Black Shadow away. "Brother Yi, I have investigated. These people are not sent by the Lei family. Are they from the 8 major families in China?" Yi Xian looked at the dark clouds in the sky, then looked at Tang Hao and said with a smile, "The tree wants to be still, but the wind does not stop. It can't be someone from the 8 major families. At least, they don't have assassins with such capabilities." Tang Hao's eyes tightened when he heard this, and he looked at Yi Xian and asked, "Brother Yi means that these are people from the other 8 banners?" Yi Xian didn't say anything, but looked in the direction of the villa. After thinking for a while, he turned and looked at Tang Hao. "Okay, stop guessing, let's go back and try it first. By the way, call Bai Ling and the others over." Tang Hao nodded, and then disappeared into the darkness. After dealing with things here, Yi Xian returned to the villa. Originally, Yi Xian was thinking that he could taste Wang Xinyo again tonight, but after returning, he saw that Wang Xinyo had fallen asleep with a few little girls. At that moment, Yi Xian narrowed his eyes slightly, wondering whether he should increase the punishment for the Black Shadow. After all, a good opportunity like today is very rare. But after thinking about it, Yi Xian shook his head. Forget it, he is not a devil. Looking at the sleeping mother and daughter, Yi Xian smiled warmly and then went to another room to sleep. Lying down and looking at the ceiling above, Yi Xian thought about this matter. That's right. Suddenly, Yi Xian remembered that the Qingling potion should have been researched, so he could go and take a look tomorrow. The recipe for this refreshing potion was obtained by him when he signed in before. After drinking it, any disease can be greatly relieved or even cured. Moreover, this medicine can also enhance physical fitness and strengthen physical quality. At first, he thought that this recipe was useless to him and didn't pay much attention to it. But in general, although it is not very helpful, and not completely worthless either, it still has some effect, so let people study it. By this time, after such a long time, the research should have been completed. After thinking about this, Yi Xian stopped thinking about it and closed his eyes and fell asleep. The next morning, Yi Shi woke up, squinted her eyes and looked around, but did not find Yi Xian. Afterwards, Yi Shi crawled around on the bed in a daze and looked around, but still couldn't find Yi Xian. Wow! The little girl was so anxious at this moment that she sat on the ground and burst into tears. Everyone woke up when they heard the crying. Wang Xinyo was suddenly surprised. She hugged Yi Shi and asked in a coaxing manner, "Don't cry, Xiaoxi. Mommy is here." "What's wrong?" "Dad is missing," Yi Shi said while sobbing, and then cried even louder. Yi Xian, who was in the next room, heard the noise and walked over. "Dad is here. I was in another room just now. Dad."
Yi Shi rubbed his eyes, and after making sure that he was not seeing things, he pounced on him. Yi Xian held Yi Shi, who was still sobbing, in his arms and gently wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. It seemed that these little guys still felt insecure.
Don't cry, Xiaoxi. Daddy is always here. By the way, Daddy will take you out clothes shopping today, how about that?
Yi Shi and Yi Xian's arms slowly stopped sobbing. When she heard that they were going to buy clothes, she poked out her little head.
Good.
Afterwards, Yi Xian was about to take the girls out when he suddenly received a phone call with a deep voice.
Brother Yi, that guy still hasn't explained, you see.
When Wang Xinyao saw the scene, she could tell that Yi Xian still had something to do, so she walked towards Yi Xian.
How about I take them with me? I'll be fine if you have something else to do.
Yi Xian looked at Wang Xinyao, paused for a moment, and then nodded.
Okay. I'll pick you up later.
When the girls saw that their father couldn't go out with them, they suddenly felt a little disappointed, but they also knew that their father had something to do, so they finally gave up.
After tidying up, Wang Xinyao went out with a few maids. Soon, Wang Xinyao brought a few girls to the mall, bought some clothes, and then went shopping inside.
At this moment, Yi Xia suddenly saw a few long white legs on the other side.
He was stunned for a moment, then suddenly ran over and hugged them. Chapter 102. It's actually true.
The girls here were all stunned, especially the girl who was suddenly hugged. She was about to scream, but then she looked at Yi Xia and said in surprise.
Xia Xia?
Yi Xia hugged the girl's legs, blinked his eyes, and spoke affectionately.
Aunt Yuyan, why are you here?
It turns out that this girl is none other than Zhang Yuyan.
Zhang Yuyan is a charming beauty with a slim figure.
At this time, Zhang Yuyan was wearing a white dress, a pair of black high heels, and carrying a small white bag. She looked very elegant. The girls next to her were all beauties, and judging from their temperament and the way they talked, you could tell they were ladies from wealthy families.
Yuyan. What a coincidence. At this time, Wang Xinyao also came over with a few maids. Xinya. When Zhang Yuyan saw Wang Xinyao coming, her face lit up with joy. She also walked over and gave Wang Xinyao a gentle hug. Why did you come to Linhai City? You didn't even tell me.
Wang Xinyao smiled and waved her hand, looking at the little girls and said.
It's a holiday now, I brought a few girls here to have some fun.
As she spoke, Wang Xinyao looked at the people around Zhang Yuyan and continued.
By the way, Yuyan, who are these people?
Look at me, I was so excited to meet my bestie that I even forgot to introduce her.
Zhang Yuyan smiled awkwardly and then introduced her to Wang Xinyao. These are all my good friends. This is Wang Jia.
Afterwards, Zhang Yuyan looked at the girl in the lead and focused on introducing Wang Xinyao.
Xinyao, this is Zhao Lin, from the Zhao family in Magic City. Wang Xinyao nodded, and she also remembered that Zhang Yuyan seemed to have told her about the Zhao family before. The Zhao family is not simple at all.
It is a large family in Shanghai with assets worth hundreds of billions. Everyone, this is Wang Xinyao, also my good sister, who I told you about before. After saying that, Zhang Yuyan introduced Wang Xinyao to Zhao Lin and others.
Hello everyone. Nice to meet you all. Wang Xinyao greeted several people enthusiastically, and they smiled and nodded in response. Wow. Xinyao, these are all your daughters.
At this time, Zhao Lin looked at the girls next to her and asked in surprise.
Yes. Wang Xinyao smiled and nodded.
Zhao Lin couldn't help feeling a little envious and moved towards the girls.
So cute. Let me take a good look.
Zhao Lin looked at the cute and pretty little guys and immediately fell in love with them. None of the little ones are afraid of strangers, only Xiaoxi is a little shy.
Yeah. So cute.
I want to give birth to a girl in the future.
Xinyao, I really envy you.
At this time, several other girls also came over to the girls, rubbed their little faces lovingly, and hugged them and had a good affection with them. Wang Xinyao watched the scene with a smile and continued chatting with Zhang Yuyan.
By the way, Yuyan, why are you coming to Linhai City?
Zhang Yuyan smiled when she heard that and looked at Zhao Lin, who was still playing with a few girls on the side.
Well, this time Sister Lin's family had some things to do, so they brought us here too.
Oh, so that's how it is.
Wang Xinyao nodded.
Although she didn't know what it was about, she didn't ask any more questions.
Oh, what a coincidence, we actually met each other. When the sisters met, Zhang Yuyan couldn't help but smile with some emotion. Yeah.
I didn't expect that either.
How about we go shopping together later? Okay. The two hit it off immediately, and Zhang Yuyan talked to Zhao Lin and others. Several people liked these girls very much and agreed immediately. Afterwards, a few of them strolled around here, bought some things, and then walked outside together. As soon as she walked out of the mall, Wang Xinyao received a call from Yi Xian. We are now at the entrance of the mall and just came out.
Zhang Yuyan, who was walking nearby, was suddenly stunned and said to Wang Xinyao.
Xinyao, someone is here to pick you up? Your friend? After saying this, Wang Xinyao looked at Zhang Yuyan in confusion and asked doubtfully. This, didn't Evian tell you?
Suddenly, the two of them stared at each other, both confused. A few girls chuckled, looked at Zhang Yuyan, stood up and shouted.
Aunt Yuyan, we found Dad. Dad? Zhang Yuyan was a little surprised, then squatted down and looked at the maids and continued to ask. Really? What kind of person is your father? Several little ones looked at Zhang Yuyan, thinking about how Yi Xian doted on them, and started talking in baby voices. Aunt Yuyan, our dad is so handsome. He has several big houses. And he can cook, and his food is delicious. And Dad can draw. He drew Sister Jingjing so beautifully. And Dad can also make snacks, they're super delicious. When the girls talked about Yi Xian, they immediately started praising him non-stop. Zhao Lin and others nearby looked at the excitement of the little guys and said with a smile. It seems like these little girls really like their dad. They're praising him so much. Yeah, it seems their father loves them too. Don't they say a daughter is a father's little cotton-padded jacket? It seems to be true. One of the girls was talking with emotion, but Zhao Lin and the other girls just smiled and said unhappily. Come on, you are not Uncle's little cotton-padded jacket. I remember that when you were a child, you cheated Uncle badly. Ah. Why don't I remember it? The girl smiled awkwardly, and the others didn't believe it would be like what these little girls said. Zhang Yuyan also didn't believe it, so she pulled Wang Xinyao aside and asked in a low voice. Xinyao, don't lie to me. What kind of person is their father? Wang Xinyao smiled and looked at the girls. Yeah, just like what the kid said, they are right. Zhang Yuyan and the other girls were silent. Isn't this ridiculous? Is there really such a man? However, at this moment, a Hongqi L5 drove towards the side and stopped in front of everyone. Everyone's eyes lit up when they saw the car, and the girls became excited. Dad is here. Dad. Zhang Yuyan watched suspiciously from the side, not knowing what was going on. But at this time, Yi Xian got out of the car, and several girls rushed over. Dad, you're here. Ah. Suddenly, Zhang Yuyan and others were stunned when they saw this scene. Seeing Yi Xian's appearance, everyone was stunned. He was so handsome. Oh my god, what these girls said is actually true. Chapter 103 Unwritten Rules. This is such a handsome guy. Xinyao, you are so lucky. I'm so envious. Yi Xian looked at Zhao Lin, Zhang Yuyan and others, then looked at Wang Xinyao and asked with a smile. Xinyao, who are these people? This is the Zhao Yuyan I told you about. These are some of her good friends. Immediately, Wang Xinyao introduced Yi Xian to everyone. Yi Xian looked at Zhao Yuyan and said gratefully. Xinyao told me about you. Thank you so much for helping take care of these little guys. You've worked so hard. Zhao Yuyan smiled and waved her hand, saying to Yi Xian. It's okay, I like these little girls too. After that, after everyone exchanged greetings for a while, Wang Xinyao said goodbye to everyone and went back with a few maids and Yi Xian. Looking at the red flag flying away, everyone was filled with emotion. Ah, what these little girls said is absolutely true, their dad looks really handsome. Yeah, and look at this car, this identity is not simple. You guys are too superficial. It's not just these, but also look at the way this man looks at Xinyao and the little girls. There's love in his eyes. After discussing for a while, Zhao Lin looked at the sky in the distance and said to everyone. Let's get ready. When Grandpa and I go up the mountain this afternoon, we must pay attention to etiquette. Speaking of this, a complex look flashed in Zhao Lin's eyes. Well, we are going there to see the world this time. As long as we follow the rules, there shouldn't be any problems. Zhang Yuyan nodded, then looked at Zhao Lin and said puzzledly. By the way, Sister Lin, is this miracle Dr. Sun Ji that you all are talking about really that powerful? Zhao Lin looked at everyone and nodded heavily. That's right,
he can be said to be China's divine doctor. Sun Ji is the descendant of the medicine king Sun Simiao, so he can be said to be a legitimate descendant of a divine doctor.
Moreover, Sun Ji has been treating patients for so many years, so he has a wide network of contacts. Many people come to him for help.
But this miracle doctor is very strange.
Strange?
Zhang Yuyan and the others were a little confused, but Zhao Lin continued.
That's true.
This miracle doctor treats patients based on his mood, and he has a rule that he only treats Chinese people.
Besides, some dignitaries would offer a fortune to treat the children.
Some would help the children in the mountain villages, but they wouldn't take a penny. As he spoke, Zhao Lin sighed.
Alas! I don't know what the consequences will be when my grandfather goes there this time.
Everyone was shocked after hearing this and nodded solemnly. Afterwards, everyone got on the car and sped away into the distance. At the same time, Yi Xian brought a few maids back home. The maids took clothes out of the shopping bag and brought them to Yi Xian.
Dad, do the clothes we bought look good?
Yi Xian looked at the clothes and nodded slightly.
It's so pretty. My baby girl looks good in anything.
Then, Yi Xian looked at the girls and asked lovingly.
Girls, how about I take you to the mountains to play this afternoon?
Good. When the girls heard that they were going to the mountain, they immediately became excited.
You and Mom can rest outside for a while. Dad will make lunch right away.
Yi Xian rubbed the heads of the girls and went to the kitchen to prepare lunch. After lunch, Yi Xian looked at the girls who were eager to try and said with a smile.
Girls, let's take a nap first, and then we can go together after we wake up.
Okay, Dad. The maids nodded obediently and followed Yi Xian back to their room to sleep. And at this moment, at the foot of Qishan Mountain, several figures were walking up the mountain. They were none other than an old man, a middle-aged man, and a few girls.
These girls were none other than Zhang Yuyan and others.
Zhang Yuyan and others walked up the mountain while looking at the old and middle-aged people in front of them. The old man was wearing a Zhengshan suit and looked very solemn. Even though he was old, his eyes were still sharp and his brows were full of momentum.
He looked heroic and awe-inspiring without even being angry.
The middle-aged man, on the other hand, was dressed in a suit and leather shoes.
He was tall and strong.
Although he looked elegant and heroic, he also had the coldness and majesty of a superior. These two people are Zhao Lin's grandfather Zhao Dezheng and father Zhao Yu. Zhao Lin felt even more distressed when she saw her grandfather gasping for breath but still insisting on walking. Her grandfather has a chronic disease that is difficult to treat. I have been to many major hospitals in the past few years, but it has not been cured. Although it is not life-threatening, it is extremely painful. So this time, I accompanied my grandfather to see Dr. Sun, hoping for a good result. Thinking of this, Zhao Lin also looked towards the top of the mountain, full of hope.
Sister Lin, why don't we drive up?
At this time, a girl next to her asked with some confusion. Zhao Dezheng looked at these little girls with a kind face and spoke slowly. Girls, we are going to visit a miracle doctor, so we can't be rude. Here, there is an unwritten rule that we must walk up the mountain to show our sincerity. Several girls nodded and understood this. Afterwards, everyone walked for a while and stopped for a while, mainly because old man Zhao Dezheng was in a weak body. Zhao Yu felt distressed at this moment and said to the old man who was breathing heavily,
Old man, how about I carry you up there?
But Zhao Dezheng shook his head and spoke earnestly.
No need. Since we are going to seek medical treatment, we must be sincere.
After saying this, Zhao Dezheng sat on a stone to the side to rest for a while, then continued to walk upwards. At this time, there were already quite a few people waiting there. These people are all dressed in suits and have extraordinary temperament. From the brand name clothes they wear and the famous watches on their wrists, you can tell that they are of high status. They were all prominent figures from Linhai City and across the country. Most of them were local tycoons, and there were even core figures from many large families. But the difference is that at this moment, all these people have anxiety written all over their faces, waiting restlessly, some are sweating, some are pacing around, and some are praying aside. Many people were gathered together at this time, in groups of 3 or 5, discussing and talking to each other, but their voices were not loud, for fear of disturbing Dr. Sun inside.
Alas, I don't know what mood Dr. Sun is in today.
If he's not in a good mood, then our visit today would have been in vain.
Who said it wasn't true?
This is my second time here, and I didn't see Dr. Sun come out last time.
What's that? This is my third time.
The first time, a miracle doctor came out, but I met an ignorant fool.
Then you are really unlucky. A friend of mine came here last time and everything went smoothly. But just as people were talking one by one, a wealthy businessman looked unhappy and said something loudly. Who is this person? Why doesn't he want to make money? All of a sudden, everyone looked over here, looking at the tycoon as if he were a fool, laughing mockingly. What do you know? This doctor's son has a weird temper. Money is like dirt to him. Ha, if anyone asks him to come for a consultation, it would be like poking the sky. Idiot, Dr. Sun has saved countless dignitaries over the years, who do you think you are? As he spoke, an old man coughed softly and looked at the tycoon indifferently. Young man, you probably don't know that someone was in a hurry and forced Dr. Sun to come for a consultation. Do you know the consequences? This guy was killed by a group of dignitaries and fell from wealth to a beggar on the street. Maybe he is already dead now. It is rumored that some time ago, Mr. Lin from the Tianjing Lin family came here and waited for 4 days, but divine Dr. Sun did not open the door. In the end, both the head of the Lin family and Mr. Lin returned in disappointment. Even a master like this doesn't dare to complain. What else do you want, a young man? Suddenly, everyone was shocked and couldn't help but burst into sighs. Chapter 104. Dad, is there anything fun in this house? Is this true? It's true, I heard about it. Well, we should just wait. Seeing this scene and hearing what the old man said, the wealthy businessman was speechless and was extremely frightened. Afterwards, everyone waited for a while again, and then they saw Mr. Zhao Dejing and his 2 companions coming up the mountain from the other side. Everyone looked over there at this time, and immediately, someone recognized him. Oh my God! This is Mr. Zhao. In an instant, many people recognized him and hurried over to greet him respectfully and enthusiastically. Such a situation made people who didn't know Mr. Zhao Dejing feel confused, and they asked around. Who is this person? What? When this question came out, the people around him were a little surprised and said in astonishment. You don't even know this person? This is Mr. Zhao Dejing, the patriarch of the Zhao family in Magic City. The Zhao family is so powerful in the Magic City that they can call the wind and rain. Just by moving their feet, the entire Magic City will tremble. Their network of contacts is as broad as rivers, and they have businesses in all walks of life. Hearing this, the few people who didn't know Mr. Zhao were suddenly speechless with surprise. At this moment, other people were also filled with emotion. Even this person came up. Coupled with what happened to Lin Shang before, everyone understood that this divine Dr. Sun was indeed not just a name. Thinking of this, any remaining complaints in their hearts suddenly disappeared, and they all waited obediently. After Zhao Dejing came over, he stood aside waiting, coughing from time to time. Others didn't even dare to say a word at this time, they all waited here obediently. No one knew how long it had been, but the pharmacies in front of them were finally opened, and everyone looked over. But what disappointed everyone was that the person who came out of the door was not Dr. Sun, but a medicine boy. But even so, everyone came over in an instant and surrounded the door of the pharmacy. Young master, will your master treat you today? Young master, may I ask how Dr. Sun feels today? Young master, is divine Dr. Sun about to come out? Because of Dr. Sun, everyone showed great respect to this medicine boy. It was Zhao Dejing who also stood up at this time and asked the medicine boy respectfully. Young master, can Dr. Sun come to see patients today? The medicine boy looked at everyone with a somewhat indifferent look. After all, he had seen too many things like this. Ahem. The medicine boy coughed softly, and everyone immediately quieted down, looking at him expectantly, hoping to get good news. You have to know that these people are all rich and powerful, at least those who are present now are. If they hadn't gone to many big hospitals and still couldn't get cured, they wouldn't have come here. So at this time, no one is not anxious, and everyone hopes to meet Dr. Sun for treatment. Master, you won't be seeing patients today. You need to develop a prescription. Today is a critical moment. In an instant, everyone's faces changed. Oh. Today's trip was in vain. Although everyone was inevitably a little unhappy, their expressions did not dare to show any complaints, only a sense of loss and regret. You know, many of the people here have been here for several days and are unhappy. I have been developing a prescription these days. What kind of prescription are they developing? Young master, can you please be flexible? We are all in a hurry to get treatment. Yes, little master, we have been here for several days. Young master, please do me a favor and tell your master about it. At this time, everyone did not give up any hope and pleaded with the little medicine boy. Master said he won't see patients, so he won't see patients.
But the medicine boy didn't buy it and his voice became much louder. Suddenly, everyone stopped talking and dared not to talk anymore. But since it has come to this, everyone can only sigh in their hearts. After all, they can't afford to offend that person. Not to mention that he was asking for help from others. The network of contacts made by someone like Dr. Sun was beyond their imagination.
Bang!
Then, the medicine boy closed the door and went in, leaving only a group of people guarding outside.
Oh. I don't know how many days I've been here. There's nothing we can do. With his identity, there's nothing we can do. What should I do?
I don't even know how long I can survive this illness.
Afterwards, everyone looked at the closed pharmacies and sighed.
Even Zhao Lin sighed at this time and looked at Mr. Zhao, who was standing aside.
Grandpa, let's go.
But Zhao Dezheng was not discouraged and still stood there solemnly.
Wait a little longer.
After all, we are here to ask for help, so we must be sincere. Seeing the old man like this, Zhao Lin said nothing more and continued to wait quietly. Originally, the people behind also wanted to leave at this time, but seeing that Zhao Dezheng did not leave, they continued to wait at the door. At this time, everyone was waiting quietly, and only the sound of birds singing in the mountains could be heard.
Buzz.
But at this moment, everyone suddenly heard the sound of a car engine. Instantly, everyone was shocked and wondered which blind person actually drove up here. Then, everyone stared at the direction where the sound came from. After a while, a Hongqi L5 suddenly drove towards the side. The red flag is getting closer and closer to here, but the roar of the engine does not diminish at all, it still goes its own way. When everyone saw the car, they realized it was a Hongqi L5. Then they looked at the license plate and realized that this was a car that only high-ranking officials or state guests could ride in.
Oh my god. It looks like a big boss coming here.
Such a heavyweight figure would come here to seek medical treatment.
It seems that this Dr. Sun is famous. But this? Even though he's a big shot, isn't this a bit too bad?
Everyone was shocked, but also felt contempt.
This also breaks the rules.
Although the rules here are not written on paper and are all unwritten rules, this is still the territory of Dr. Sun after all.
You want to seek medical treatment, then?
Why don't you just walk?
Why do you have to go up the mountain like this? What's the point?
That's just too outrageous. Yes, even though he is a big shot, he cannot be so presumptuous here.
Humph.
You're a big shot, but you don't know the rules. I think even if you're in a high position, you'll fall sooner or later. At this time, although there were some complaints on their lips, everyone was frowning, fearing that there might be members of the military inside. After all, the members of the Yanhuang military are all carefree and don't follow rules like them. Thinking of this, everyone shook their heads and sighed. Alas, but given his status, we can't say anything. Yes, we have nothing to say, but Dr. Sun is different. I think this guy is likely to be blacklisted permanently.
Not 9 out of 10, 100%.
This shows that they don't take Dr. Sun seriously at all. As everyone was talking, Zhao Lin and others also saw the car. Suddenly, several people widened their eyes.
Isn't this Yi Xian's car?
Seeing this scene, everyone felt nervous. It seemed that they were really in trouble this time. At this moment, under the gaze of everyone, the red flag stopped aside. Immediately afterwards, Yi Xian and others got out of the car. After Wang Xinyao got off the car, she was also shocked when she saw so many people. But she suddenly saw Zhao Yuyan and others, and came over to say hello with a smile.
Hi. Yu Yan. Zhao Lin.
You are here too. Wang Xinyao spoke quite loudly, which made Zhao Lin and the others feel uneasy, so they quickly pulled Wang Xinyao over.
Xinyao. What are you doing?
This is in front of the miracle doctor's door, we can't make loud noises. And you drove up here, which is a big taboo.
You are breaking the rules now.
If you make Dr. Sun unhappy, you're done. Zhao Lin said this earnestly, feeling anxious for Wang Xinyao. At this moment, Wang Xinyao's heart tightened and her face inevitably turned pale. But she had never heard Yi Xian talk about these. Although she was a little suspicious, looking at how nervous Zhao Lin and the others were, Wang Xinyao could tell that they were definitely not lying. On this side, a few little girls were following Yi Xian, looking at the pharmacy in front of them, and asked Yi Xian curiously.
Dad, what is this house? Is there anything fun in it?
Yi Xian smiled at the girls and spoke softly.
Dad is coming here to get some things.
I'll use these herbs to make herbal tea for you guys later, okay?
Good. The girls thought about the taste of the herbal tea, swallowed their saliva, and nodded happily.
Then, Yi Xian looked at the dignitaries on the other side, ignored them, then looked at the pharmacy and prepared to go over and knock on the door. This scene frightened everyone so much that they were stunned.
They all looked at Yi Xian as if he were a madman. Chapter 105 Master, you are here.
But after all, they were from the Yanhuang military department and were sitting in such a car.
Even though they were angry, they didn't dare to say anything.
However, at this critical moment, Zhao Dezheng called Yi Xian.
Sir, you don't know the rules.
Yi Xian paused for a moment and looked back at Zhao Dezheng. Zhao Dezheng looked at Yi Xian and continued to speak earnestly. The miracle doctor here is called Sun Ji, and he is a famous miracle doctor throughout China. Dr. Sun has saved the lives of many dignitaries, so everyone who comes here to seek medical treatment must walk up.
This is an unwritten rule. And you drove up here, but you didn't follow the rules. You still want to disturb Divine Dr. Sun at this time? This is absolutely not allowed.
As he was speaking, Wang Xinyao also walked over, looked at Yi Xian with some concern, and asked in a low voice.
Is this going to be okay?
Yi Xian smiled easily and said to Wang Xinyao.
It's okay, we don't need to hike up the mountain.
When the dignitaries nearby heard this, they felt helpless and even laughed out of anger.
From the car he drove just now, this guy should be a descendant of a military family, right? Humph. I think he is used to bullying others at home. How dare he be so rude? So unruly. But what should we do if this gets us into trouble? Oh, what bad luck.
Not only did I run into Dr. Sun who didn't come to see me, but I also ran into a guy like this. These people spoke in low voices, fearing that they would be implicated, while Yi Xian prepared to knock on the door. Zhao Dezheng was watching from the side and hurriedly called Yi Xian again.
My friend. Don't do this.
Dr. Sun has already said today that he won't be seeing patients.
He needs to research a prescription.
Just as Zhao Dezheng was speaking, the door of the pharmacy was suddenly pushed open, and the pharmacist came out, his face sank, and he spoke to everyone with some displeasure.
You guys are too noisy.
You're disturbing my master from researching the medicine. Hearing the medicine boy's slightly angry tone, everyone's heart trembled and a trace of fear appeared on their faces. At this time, everyone is in danger and everyone is afraid of being put on the blacklist.
Young master. Please don't misunderstand.
It was this young man who didn't follow the rules just now. It has nothing to do with us. Yes, little master, we all respect your master and would not do such an impolite thing. Young master, we've already talked to him, but he refused to listen, and there's nothing we can do. Suddenly, these people pointed their fingers at Yi Xian, fearing that they would be implicated. But Yi Xian ignored them, looked at the medicine boy and said lightly. Go find your master and tell him my name is Yi Xian.
Ask him to come out and see me. Boom.
In an instant, Yi Xian's words were like a bolt from the blue, shocking everyone.
Who on earth is this person? Is he crazy? How dare he talk like that? He actually asked Dr. Sun to come out to meet him. That's the good thing about being young. He's really brave. Even if he is from a military family, Dr. Sun has a wide network of contacts. How dare he do this? At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded, staring at Yi Xian with their eyes wide open, wondering in their hearts, what exactly is this person's background? Is this really the supremacy of power, covering the sky with one hand? Or is it just brainless and just talking nonsense? But the answer in people's minds tends to be the latter. Even if a person is very extraordinary, he would not have the courage to stand in front of Dr. Sun. For a moment, there was an uproar around, and everyone started talking in low voices. My friend. You must not do that. This is so unruly. You will get into trouble. Zhao Dezheng's eyelids also twitched at this moment. Even an old hand like him had never seen such a brave young man. Sir, this is Dr. Sun in there. This is really inappropriate. Mr. Zhao is right. No matter how high your status is, you have to humble yourself here. Don't do this, it will make the doctor unhappy. Others were also trying to persuade Yi Xian at this time. Apart from anything else, this would have a significant impact on them. If Dr. Sun is really displeased and everyone blocks him, who can I turn to for justice? The medicine boy beside him was also a little stunned at this time. He had never dared to talk to his master like this before. It's okay, just say this when you go in.
Yi Xian spoke to the medicine boy again, and the medicine boy didn't say anything, so he turned around and walked inside. Soon, the medicine boy came to the inner hall, where there was a middle-aged man. He was wearing a long gown and had a goatee, looking quite chivalrous. The man had slender fingers and a gentle and elegant appearance. He was currently studying a prescription at his desk with a meticulous expression. Although he is a miracle doctor respected by everyone, Sun Ji, who is now middle-aged, still looks handsome, with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. He has the elegance of a scholar and the otherworldly spirit. At this moment, he was holding a wolf hairbrush in his hand, his brows were slightly furrowed, he kept muttering something, and a thin layer of sweat seeped out of his forehead. "Master. Someone asked you to go out and meet him. He said his name is Yi Xian." At this time, the medicine boy ran inside and conveyed what Yi Xian had just said. When Sun Ji heard what the medicine boy said, his whole body trembled and he almost couldn't hold the brush in his hand. "What did you say? What's your name?" "Answer, master, my name is Yi Xian." Hiss. Sun Ji confirmed it again, then took a breath of cold air. He no longer cared about what he was doing, threw away the brush, and stood up and rushed outside. The medicine boy was stunned. His master was always calm even when faced with a huge disaster. How could he be so calm today? At the same time, many people outside were still looking at Yi Xian, thinking that this guy was extremely arrogant. If Dr. Sun really comes out later, this guy will not know how to regret it. "My friend, please leave quickly. Don't get yourself into trouble." Zhao Dezheng was still trying to persuade them earnestly at this time, and others were also trying to persuade them. "Hurry up and leave before Dr. Sun comes out." "Yeah. If someone sees you later, you'll be in real trouble. If I were you, I would walk away right now." But just when everyone was still persuading each other, Sun Ji hurriedly walked out. When everyone saw Sun Ji coming out in a hurry, they thought to themselves that this was not good, he was going to be angry. In an instant, everyone hid further back, fearing that they would get into trouble. But Sun Ji looked at Yi Xian, opened his mouth wide, strode over, and then knelt directly on the ground. In an instant, all the people who had just stepped back were stunned. What on earth was going on? The miracle doctor they had gone through so much trouble to see actually knelt before this young man. Everyone's eyelids were twitching, the corners of their mouths were twitching, and they didn't dare to breathe. If they had not seen this scene with their own eyes, they would not believe it even if they were beaten to death. "Master! You are here!" But what everyone didn't expect was that Sun Ji looked at Yi Xian in front of him and actually called him master. Boom! "Master, master!" For a moment, everyone was completely stunned, staring at each other, no one knew what was going on. Chapter 106, Spirit Purifying Potion. Zhao Dezheng, who had just been earnestly advising Yi Xian not to be presumptuous and to understand the rules, now had his eyes widened. Thinking about what he had just said, and saying it one by one, Zhao Dezheng's face couldn't help but blush. "I originally thought that Yi Xian was just being young and frivolous, but it seems that I was just blind." The other people around them almost froze in their breathing, their bodies trembled uncontrollably, and they broke out in cold sweats. What is going on?" As one of the nobles burst into an exclamation, everyone around was shocked. Just now the miracle doctor called this guy master. Did I see it right? Oh my god. I must be dreaming. Am I seriously ill? Am I even hallucinating? At this time, not only these people were shocked, but Wang Xinyao beside Yi Xian was also looking at him with shock. What on earth is going on? Could it be that Yi Xian also knows medical skills? But she had never heard Yi Xian say it, and she didn't realize it at all. But even if he only knows medical skills, he is a miracle doctor respected by so many people. However, it is such an existence, Yi Xian is actually the other party's master. For a moment, Wang Xinyao couldn't accept it, and her eyes became a little dull. Hurry! Master, please come in. Sun Ji was so excited that he immediately invited Yi Xian and the others to come in. As for the other dignitaries, they were messing around outside. Master, please sit here. I'll make you some tea. After asking Yi Xian to sit down, Sun Ji went to the side and poured tea, and brought it to Yi Xian respectfully. Master, please have some tea. After doing all this, Sun Ji poured another cup of tea and respectfully handed it to Wang Xinyao. Master's wife, please have some tea. Wang Xinyao looked at Sun Ji, who was respectful, and smiled awkwardly. She couldn't help but feel a little weird that someone so old called her master's wife. Junior sister. You guys have some tea too. Finally, Sun Ji poured tea for the little girls and then sat down respectfully aside.
Sun Ji, have you finished researching the Qingling potion?
Sun Ji nodded heavily and replied to Yi Xian.
Master, don't worry, I'll do my research.
As he spoke, Sun Ji took out a sample from the side, along with the prescription. Yi Xian took a bite, then nodded, looked at Sun Ji and asked again.
You have the ability to mass produce this, right? Some.
Sun Ji agreed and took out a small box, which already contained hundreds of medicines. But Sun Ji looked at Yi Xian and added another sentence. Master, when you weren't here just now, I was preparing to make some improvements. Yi Xian nodded and said lightly.
That's good. After mass production, it can benefit the Yanhuang military and the entire China. But it seems that we can't do it in a short time.
I'll distribute it to the upper floors first and try the potion first. Sun Ji listened carefully and nodded heavily.
I'll follow the master's instructions.
Well, and this time I come here, I have to ask you for some medicinal herbs. Yi Xian then talked about this matter, thought about it, and continued. I want some licorice, forsythia, gardenia, rush, honeysuckle, that's all. Sun Ji nodded, then stood up and walked towards the inner room. After a while, he found all the medicinal herbs.
Master, can you look at these?
Yi Xian looked over when he heard that, then smiled and said. I don't need one of such high age.
I'm only using it to make herbal tea. Okay, I'll change it now.
Sun Ji agreed, and then went to exchange them for some younger ones.
Well,
that's all right, I'll leave now and not disturb you from researching and improving. After getting the medicinal herbs, Yi Xian stood up and prepared to leave.
Master,
I'll take you there.
Sun Ji nodded, then respectfully sent Yi Xian and the others out. Master. Master's wife.
Junior sister. Please take care. The people outside were even more shocked when they saw the scene. Zhao Dejing felt a little embarrassed as he watched Yi Xian walking outside. Zhao Yuyan, Zhao Lin and others were also shocked when they saw the scene and didn't know what to say. Yi Xian also noticed Zhao Yuyan at this time. He took out 3 medicines from the small box in his hand, walked over and handed them to Zhao Yuyan. Thank you for taking care of these little girls. This potion can relieve or even cure all kinds of diseases, and it can also strengthen your physical fitness. These few are for you.
Send it to me?
Zhang Yuyan was startled and stared at Yi Xian blankly, confirming it again.
Yes.
Yi Xian smiled and nodded. Seeing this, Zhang Yuyan took the medicine with both hands and thanked Yi Xian repeatedly.
I'm so sorry. Thank you, Mr. Yi.
Yi Xian smiled and nodded, then handed the remaining potion in his hand to Tang Hao.
Please put these in the car.
I'll take them for a walk in the mountains.
Tang Hao nodded, took the medicine and walked towards the red flag.
When Sun Ji heard that Yi Xian was going to stroll around the mountain, he walked over and was about to speak, but was interrupted by Yi Xian.
It's okay, you don't have to send me off. Go back.
Seeing this, Sun Ji had no choice but to agree, and then hurriedly prepared to go back to see if he could improve the prescription. The people outside looked at each other, then all looked at Sun Ji and said with a flattering smile.
Dr. Sun, please see.
But Sun Ji didn't have the heart to care about it at this moment. He immediately wanted to continue researching the potion and asked the pharmacist to close the shop directly.
Bang!
Seeing the door of the pharmacy in front of them closed tightly again, everyone stood there in a daze, speechless for a moment. In the silence, everyone's eyes quickly focused on Zhang Yuyan, all staring at the potion in her hand. If they heard correctly just now, it seemed that Yi Xian said that this thing could alleviate or even cure various diseases. Moreover, it can enhance physical fitness and improve people's body functions. It is simply a miracle drug. The most important thing is that this medicine was given to Zhang Yuyan by Yi Xian himself, and Yi Xian is the master of Dr. Sun.
Oh my god! If this medicine is as it's said to be, it's absolutely priceless.
Indeed, I don't know how many people are trying their best to get this medicine.
I'm a little worried. Will this girl be in any danger?
After all, a man is innocent, but he is guilty of possessing a treasure. Amid the discussions among the people, some people started to worry. This thing is like a hot potato to hold in their hands.
I don't think so.
An old man shook his head, and seemed to be quite sure about this matter, and said in a condescending tone. Think about it, that man is Dr. Sun's master, and he is also a big shot in the Tianlong army.
Who would dare to touch the medicine in this girl's hand? When others heard this, they agreed. This was indeed what it meant. However, someone raised an objection and spoke to everyone. You are all not young anymore. The value of something like this is enough to drive many people crazy. I bet there will definitely be people who will take the risk, that's for sure. As people were talking, their eyes towards Zhang Yuyan changed. No one would have thought that such an ordinary-looking woman could actually get to know such a powerful boss. Zhao Lin also changed her attitude at this time. She had treated these sisters like an elder sister before, protecting them and taking them out to play. But now, when she faced Zhang Yuyan, her eyes were full of respect and she bowed directly to Zhang Yuyan. Yuyan, I was blind to your talent before. I apologize to you. Zhang Yuyan was frightened by this and quickly supported Zhao Lin, saying with a smile, Sister Lin, please don't be polite. I have always regarded you as a good sister. Zhang Yuyan is not stupid either, she knows why Zhao Lin did this. She had been getting along pretty well with Zhao Lin, and didn't want this to affect their relationship. After thinking for a while, Zhang Yuyan looked at Zhao Lin and said sincerely, Sister Lin, you are so good to me, I see it all, and I know it in my heart. As she spoke, Zhang Yuyan took out one of the potions and handed it to Zhao Lin. We are good sisters. Grandpa Zhao has health problems, and I am worried about him. Let's give this to Grandpa Zhao. It's a token of my appreciation. Zhao Lin covered her mouth and looked at Zhang Yuyan in surprise. She didn't expect her to be so straightforward. The others were also surprised and their eyes were filled with shock. If this medicine were released, it would cause a sensation throughout China, and many people would be scrambling to buy it. Chapter 107, There is a ventriloquist in the capital. But Zhang Yuyan actually gave up one of the potions like that. This was really hard for everyone to accept. They stared at the potion with eyes full of envy and jealousy. This, Yuyan, I really don't know how to thank you. Zhao Lin looked at Zhang Yuyan's sincere eyes, her eyes slightly reddened, and she took the potion with trembling hands. It's okay, Sister Lin, this is what I should do. Zhang Yuyan smiled lightly and didn't take the matter to heart. Ahem. At this time, Zhao Dezheng also coughed, stood up and expressed his opinion. Yuyan girl, we can't take this potion for nothing. Old man Zhao Dezheng looked at Zhang Yuyan solemnly, his eyes full of gratitude. After all, this is a very precious thing. Girl, you are willing to give one to me, an old man. You are already my lifesaver. My Zhao family will pay you 20 million for this potion. From now on, your affairs will be my Zhao family's affairs. Anyone who messes with you will be irreconcilable with my Zhao family. For a moment, Mr. Zhao Dezheng's powerful and resounding words made everyone silent. At this time, it was Zhang Yuyan's turn to be shocked. She almost couldn't stand. This was 20 million. Although she has some money and is not a person with low standards, this is too crazy. What does 20 million mean? Even if she racked her brains, it was hard to imagine. This is just too much, I can't. Immediately, Zhang Yuyan wanted to refuse, but Zhao Lin interrupted her immediately. Yuyan, stop talking. This is what you deserve. We can't take this medicine for nothing. You and I both know the value of this thing. In this way, our Zhao family has taken advantage of you. Zhao Lin stepped forward, held Zhang Yuyan's hand, and persuaded her seriously. When Zhang Yuyan saw that Zhao Lin and Mr. Zhao were both very determined, she had no choice but to agree and nodded slightly. Oh well. At this time, other dignitaries around looked at Zhao Yuyan and were stunned with surprise. The Zhao family offered such a price, which did not surprise everyone. At least it was relatively reasonable. But the weight of Mr. Zhao's words is not small at all. At this moment, with Yi Xian as a big Buddha and the Zhao family who they also dared not to provoke, no one thought that anyone would have any evil intentions to steal Zhang Yuyan's medicine. For a moment, the people around were all smiling flatteringly and moving towards Zhang Yuyan. Miss, look at this potion in your hand. If you don't need it for the time being, I am willing to buy one for the same price of 20 million. I wonder if you can do me a favor. An old man in gorgeous clothes spoke to Zhang Yuyan first, hoping to get the potion in Zhang Yuyan's hand. Ms. Shang, I'll give you 25 million. I can transfer the money right now. Please sell it to me. I'll give you 30 million. Miss Shang, this medicine is really useful to me, I hope you can bear the pain and give it up. 45 million, I must get this medicine today. After the old man started talking, everyone else began to speak and bid. The prices kept getting higher and higher, it was almost like a small auction. Zhang Yuyan was also a little confused for a moment. This was really too exaggerated.
The 20 million just now was enough to surprise her, but now these people's bids were higher than each other.
But in fact, this cannot be blamed on these people. To them, money is nothing.
But now their bodies are constrained by chronic diseases, and they are afraid that they will have money but no life to spend.
Everyone, I'm sorry, but I don't plan to sell this potion.
Zhang Yuyan was also frightened when she heard the bid and quickly stopped it.
After this sentence was spoken, these people stopped talking and dared not to act rashly.
After all, this girl is related to Dr. Sun Jishan's father Yi Xian, and what car was Yi Xian riding in? It was a Hongqi L5. Even if we don't talk about this, the Zhao family at the scene is not someone they can afford to provoke.
Okay. Miss, this is my business card. If you change your mind, please contact me.
Ms. Zhang, this is my business card, please accept it.
This is my.
Seeing that Zhang Yuyan had no intention of selling the medicine at this time, the dignitaries still did not give up and left their business cards, hoping that there would still be a chance to buy it. Zhang Yuyan nodded slightly and accepted the business cards. At this time, Zhao Lin had already delivered the medicine to Zhao Dezheng.
Grandpa, drink it quickly. This is from the divine doctor, it shouldn't be wrong. Zhao Dezheng nodded and took the medicine.
He seemed somewhat excited because he had suffered a lot from this chronic disease. How much he wished that he could completely get rid of this disease.
Now, he finally had such an opportunity.
Staring at the potion in his hand, Zhao Dezheng drank it without any hesitation. Zhao Lin and Zhao Yu were still staring at Zhao Dezheng closely, hoping to see a good effect. At this time, Zhao Lin had clenched her fists, and her palms were full of sweat. After drinking the medicine, Mr. Zhao felt clear-headed, refreshed in his lungs, and his breathing became much smoother. The pain in his throat and chest was slowly easing, his complexion also became much better, and he felt much more relaxed.
It's been a long time since I last felt this way. This is truly a miracle drug.
Old man Zhao Dezheng took a deep breath and praised the efficacy of the medicine again and again. Then, the old man looked at Zhao Lin and the others and waved his hand kindly.
Okay, let's go and have a meal.
Zhao Lin and the others were delighted to see that the old man felt much better, and they planned to go out for dinner to celebrate. When Zhang Yuyan looked to the other side at this time, she could no longer see Yi Xian and the others. But Zhao Yuyan was also genuinely happy for her best friends and the little girls.
Wang Xinyao and a few girls are really lucky to meet such a Yi Xian. Yuyan, let's go.
Just as she was about to leave, Zhao Lin saw Zhang Yuyan still in a daze and tugged at her sleeve.
Okay, Sister Lin. Zhang Yuyan smiled and agreed, then walked down the mountain with the others.
At the same time, Yi Xian was strolling in the mountains with a few little girls, enjoying the green mountains and clear waters here. Chirp! From time to time, bursts of melodious bird calls could be heard in the mountains. A few little girls looked in the direction and saw a few beautiful and delicate little birds singing softly on the branches of the trees.
Wow! These birds are so pretty. So cute.
Yi Shi raised her head and opened her little head wide, her eyes full of love for these birds.
Dad! I want to touch them so badly.
The other girls also nodded and looked at the birds singing above with longing. Swoosh! Yi Xian nodded, then made a very realistic birdsong sound from his mouth, and smiled as he pulled away the hands of several little girls beside him.
Ah!
The little girls were a little confused for a moment, and then they were even more stunned, watching the little bird above fall into their hands.
How amazing! Wow! This little bird is so cute. I love it. I really want to take it home and raise it.
The girls were surprised and delighted at this moment. Not to mention how surprised they were even more happy in their hearts.
By the way, Dad, how come you can sing like a bird?
Yi Xiao looked at Yi Xian curiously and asked.
The other girls also looked over, their eyes also full of curiosity.
Girls, this is called ventriloquism.
Ventriloquism.
The little girls were a little confused and didn't know what this meant. Yi Xian continued to speak with a smile.
Close your eyes. Daddy will take you to play in the big forest, okay? Good.
The girls were suddenly curious and nodded obediently.
Moo.
Immediately afterwards, the girls seemed to hear the roar of an elephant, and then they seemed to be sitting on the elephant's back.
Then there was the sound of rustling leaves, birds singing, and even the roar of a tiger. Ouch! There's a big tiger.
Suddenly, several girls were startled, but they also knew that this was Yi Xian's imitation, so they quickly calmed down. Chirp!
After a burst of interlaced sounds, several girls closed their eyes and listened, and heard the cry of monkeys again. The sound was light and clear, as if the monkey was still shuttling through the forest. At this moment, several girls closed their eyes tightly, with excitement on their little faces, as if they felt like they were really in a big forest. Roar! At this moment, a tiger's roar was heard again, even louder and more fierce than before. Chirp! Chirp! Next, a few monkeys were frightened and started to flee deeper into the forest with rapid sounds. The tiger was attracted by the monkey's cry and chased after it, and bursts of chaotic noises broke out in the bushes. Quack! Chirp! The birdsong in the mountains suddenly became rapid, and the entire forest was awakened. Then, the sounds of chasing and roaring gradually faded away, and the forest gradually became quiet again. Slowly, the sun sets, and all living things become quiet. Only the sound of gurgling water and whistling wind can be heard. As the night deepens, the chirping of cicadas and the singing of nightingales complement each other, making the forest peaceful and tranquil. Wang Xinyao also felt it was magical at this moment. Yi Xian slowly held her hand and she also joined in this dream journey. At this moment, Yi Xian was like taking a few little girls and Wang Xinyao through the jungle, listening to the forest day and night, and the whispers of countless creatures. The girls were excited and happy, and completely integrated into the environment created for them by Yi Xian. It seemed that at this moment, they became the freest people in the world. They could see the stars between the trees in the forest at night, and could see the golden light bathing the forest. Slowly, the rhythm of Yi Xian's mouth became slower and slower. As the girls could hear each other's breathing, this auditory feast came to an end. Girls, the show is over. Yi Xian smiled and rubbed the heads of the girls. After the girls opened their eyes, they still felt a little unsatisfied. All of this was so magical. It was clearly just a collection of sounds, but it made the girls feel as if they were really in a vast world. Wang Xinyao, who was standing by, opened her eyes and also felt incredible. She couldn't help but think of the lesson at the beginning: there is a ventriloquist in Beijing. Chapter 108 Distribution. Dad! You're awesome! Dad! Dad! We still want to play. The sounds of those animals just now were so similar, they were exactly the same. Yi Xian was immediately entangled by a few girls, and he shouted that he wanted to do it again. Okay. Forget about it today. Next time, Dad will take you to the deep sea, okay? Good. Several girls agreed excitedly and were looking forward to the underwater trip even more. Afterwards, Yi Xian took the girls to stroll around the mountain and picked some fruits. The girls were tired from playing. Girls, let's go home, it's almost time. Good. The girls nodded and followed Yi Xian down the mountain. Tang Hao was still waiting at the foot of the mountain. After everyone came down, he drove back to the villa. After returning home, Wang Xinyao took the girls to take a bath, while Yi Xian took the medicinal herbs to make herbal tea for them. The preparation of herbal tea is not complicated. Yi Xian put all the medicinal ingredients into the pot, soaked them for 10 minutes, and then washed them several times. Afterwards, Yi Xian poured clean water into the pot, brought it to a boil over high heat, skimmed off the foam, and then turned to low heat to continue simmering. After an hour, the herbal tea was ready. Yi Xian served the herbal tea. The maids also finished their bath and smelled the aroma of the herbal tea. Wow! It smells so good. Yi Xia pulled Yi Xian and walked in, drooling as he looked at the herbal tea on the table. Dad, can I drink now? Yi Xian squatted down and rubbed the two girls' chubby little faces with a smile. Xiaoxi, Xia, don't be anxious. Wait for the herbal tea to cool down a little bit before drinking it. It's still too hot now. Okay. The two girls nodded, then turned and ran out to continue playing. Soon, the herbal tea had cooled down, and Yi Xian brought it out and said to the maids and Wang Xinyao, "Okay, now you can have some herbal tea." Yeah. A few girls were playing with dolls nearby, and when they heard that it was time to drink, they all ran over. Yi Xian poured a cup for each of them. The girls couldn't wait to taste it, and their eyes suddenly lit up. This herbal tea is not only delicious, but also very refreshing. It feels so good. This herbal tea is so delicious. Dad is so amazing, but he can do everything. Mom, come and try it, it's delicious. Yi Xian looked at the girls like this, smiled lightly, and then walked towards the balcony beside him. At this time, Tang Hao was talking on the phone on the balcony. He saw Yi Xian come in, hung up the phone, and bowed respectfully. Brother Yi. Yi Xian nodded, sat on the rattan chair beside him, looked at Tang Hao and said, Tang Hao, send those medicines to Tianjing. Give some to the Lin family and let them share them. After all, they are also considered as heroes of China, so let them try the medicine. Okay, Brother Yi. Tang Hao nodded immediately, then walked out, took out his phone and made arrangements. At the same time, Lin Sheng and Tianjing quickly got the news. After hanging up the phone, he stood up decisively and walked out the door. Hurry! Tell the driver to prepare the car. I need to go to the airport right away. Yes. The housekeeper in the villa nodded, and seeing that Lin Sheng was in a hurry, he did not dare to delay and hurried down to arrange the vehicle. But the old man was not done yet. He walked into the study room at the side. Lin Yuhan was processing documents inside. When he saw old man Lin Sheng come in, he asked with a smile. Dad! Why are you here? What's the matter? Hurry! Follow me to the airport. Lin Sheng looked at Lin Yuhan and spoke seriously, his tone full of solemnity and urgency. What happened? Lin Yuhan was somewhat confused, so he stood up and asked. I just received a call. Mr. Yi sent us a newly produced medicine. This medicine is amazing. Not only can it cure all diseases, it can also strengthen your physical fitness. When Lin Yuhan heard this, he was immediately surprised, with deep shock in his eyes, and murmured. This. Mr. Yi is so kind to our Lin family. Dad, let's go now. Lin Sheng also nodded. At this time, he admired Yi Xian even more in his heart, and spoke to Lin Yuhan seriously. Remember, no matter what Mr. Yi does, our Lin family will go through fire and water without hesitation. The two of them quickly walked out of the villa, and the driver was ready. They drove to the airport quickly and got the medicine smoothly. Thank you so much, Mr. Tang, for coming all this way in person. After Lin Sheng took the medicine, he smiled and thanked Tang Hao, who was standing in front of the door. It's okay, just distribute it as soon as possible. Tang Hao responded with a smile, and after exchanging a few pleasantries, they said goodbye. After seeing Tang Hao off, Lin Sheng took out a potion from the small box in his hand. After unscrewing the potion, Lin Sheng drank it in one gulp without any hesitation. As for Yi Xian's things, this showed his immense trust. Lin Yuhan also took out a potion, and after watching the old man drink it, he drank one himself. Soon, the two of them felt their bodies become lighter, and even walking felt much easier. Lin Sheng felt that his body, which had some minor problems, now felt even more comfortable. He felt full of energy, as if he had been reborn. This potion is amazing. Carefully feeling the changes in his body, Lin Sheng nodded heavily, with a burst of joy in his eyes. Yeah, this is amazing. At this time, even Lin Yuhan beside him felt that his physical functions had improved a lot. Lin Sheng then solemnly put away the rest of the medicine and said to Lin Yuhan, Convene a meeting of Tianjing's top leaders immediately. We will go to the clubhouse and wait now. Yes. A few hours later, several of Tianjing's top family heads arrived at the club. The originally empty entrance was now filled with all kinds of luxury cars. These were not the flashy sports cars driven by rich young men, but luxury cars that only top figures could ride in. Cars like Rolls-Royce, Maybach and Mercedes-Benz are so common here that they can't be more common. Afterwards, the car doors opened one after another, and dignitaries dressed in suits and leather shoes and looking handsome stepped out. These people are top figures in Tianjing, holding great power and wealth. Among them, several elderly men with gray hair and middle-aged men in gorgeous clothes were extremely impressive, and their every move exuded the aura of superiors. Lin Sheng, who was wearing a tang suit, was already waiting at the door. Lin Yuhan beside him was holding the remaining medicine in his hand. People saw Lin Sheng waiting at the door, and several family heads got out of the car and greeted him respectfully. Mr. Lin, I'm so sorry to ask you to wait for us here. Yes, we set out immediately after hearing the news. We didn't expect that Mr. Lin and the head of the Lin family would come so quickly. By the way, Mr. Lin, what happened today? Why are you so anxious? The tone of these people was very respectful at this moment. After all, the Lin family had gotten close to General Yilong, and now they were on the verge of becoming the #1 family in Tianjing. Although they were envious, they could not envy it, because after all, it was something the Lin family had fought for themselves. Lin Sheng looked at the heads of several families, and when he saw that they were all present, he said with a smile. Come on, let's talk inside. Okay. Master Lin, you go first.
Then, everyone stopped standing at the door and walked inside.
After everyone walked into the room and took their seats, Lin Shang waved to Lin Yuhan beside him. Lin Yuhan nodded and took out the remaining potions. Everyone, this is given by Mr. Yi. All the family heads have a share. It can cure all diseases and strengthen the body. What?
Suddenly, several family heads who had been calm and composed just now could no longer sit still.
They all stood up and looked at Lin Shang, asking in disbelief. Mr. Lin, what did you say? Was this given by Mr. Yi? Did I hear it right?
It can cure all kinds of diseases and strengthen the body.
Most importantly, it was given to us by Mr. Yi? I can't accept it. Is this true? Yi Xian looked at the incredible expressions of the family heads and nodded with a smile. Everyone, this is indeed given by Mr. Yi. Mr. Yi hasn't forgotten us. He said we are all meritorious officials of China.
As for what was given to me, I have already drunk it, and I can tell you that this potion is truly miraculous. I cannot describe it, so you can experience it for yourself. In an instant, the eyes of several family heads lit up and they looked straight at the medicines. Lin Yuhan distributed these potions, and several family heads held the potions excitedly, their bodies trembling with excitement.
Chapter 109 Benefiting the Yanhuang Military. Sure enough, after drinking it, everyone felt refreshed and praised the magical effect of this potion. This medicine is really amazing. I feel no discomfort anywhere on my body now. General Yi Long is really generous. I wonder how much this medicine is worth. I can't even imagine it. It's amazing.
Only General Yi Long can come up with something like this. Everyone looked at each other's faces, which were becoming more and more rosy and healthy, and they were all extremely surprised. The remaining medicine was now in Lin Shang's hands. Seeing that everyone was satisfied with the medicine, Lin Shang smiled and nodded, then continued. Mr. Yi said that he will give you more in the future. I will send it to you then. Good. Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Lin. We are sorry to trouble you. This meeting can be said to have established the status of the Lin family, and everyone respected Lin Shang and Lin Yuhan even more. Afterwards, a group of family heads walked out of the club one after another, still marveling at the magic of this potion. Oh, I don't know what to say about this potion. I feel like I'm not worthy of drinking it. Yes, such a potion is simply like something from the gods. It seems that the Lin family will rise rapidly this time. General Yi Long will be able to hand over this magical medicine to the Lin family without any worries. Who said it wasn't? We should also know how to do things. Several family heads were discussing the matter, and the matter of today's potion was soon spread out. At this time, the entire circle of dignitaries in Tianjing was in an uproar, and everyone was discussing about this potion after dinner. By the way, have you heard that General Yi Long gave the Lin family a lot of medicine? This medicine is magical. It's amazing. It can cure any disease and regulate body functions. More than that, this is simply a second spring. It's a pity that we have no chance with this kind of medicine. In a tea house, several dignitaries heard this gossip and discussed it incessantly, their eyes full of envy. No one would not be jealous of such medicine, but there is nothing they can do about it. I heard that this potion was only given to the heads of those families. For others, there is no hope for the time being. It seems that the Lin family will gradually become the only dominant family now. Oh, yes, don't you think about who is behind the Lin family, General Yi Long. I think we have to line up and build a good relationship with the Lin family. At this time, more and more people knew about this matter, and they had secretly made up their minds to establish relations with the Lin family. Soon, on the next day, many people came to visit the Lin family. All of them were high-ranking officials and business tycoons from Tianjing. When these people came, they all brought valuable gifts with them. Later on, there was even a long line formed in front of the Lin family villa. Speaking of this, it is the top priority in the entire Tianjing. The influence of the Lin family has also increased rapidly overnight. Soon, the Lin family's stock soared, and countless young people came to apply for jobs in its subsidiaries, including some current talents. It was a very prosperous time. At the same time in Linhai City, Tang Hao had already returned and was reporting the matter to Yi Xian. Brother Yi, as you said, the medicine has been distributed to Lin Shang. Good. Yi Xian nodded, picked up the tea and took a sip, then continued. That's not all. We need to achieve mass production as soon as possible, and then supply a small amount to the Chinese people, and more to the Yanhuang military. Clear.
Tang Hao looked at Yi Xian and agreed softly. After a while, Tang Hao received a phone call and left the villa for a while. When he came back, there was a gift box in his hand. After entering the villa, Tang Hao immediately walked to Yi Xian with a gift box and said respectfully, "Brother Yi, Bai Ling is here, but she said it's not convenient for her to stay around the girls all the time, so she brought it here as well. After all, if it is here, the safety of the young ladies and sisters-in-law should be assured." Yi Xian looked at the gift box and couldn't help but smile. He nodded and said, "Okay, she just needs to be on guard outside. This can also make the little girls happy." Tang Hao also smiled lightly, and suddenly remembered something else, and continued to talk to Yi Xian. "By the way, Brother Yi, Zhao Dezheng and the others said they want to invite you to a dinner party tonight. What do you think?" Yi Xian picked up the teacup, took a sip, then stood up and said lightly, "Okay, I understand." Originally, Yi Xian had not planned to attend such a banquet. But now he changed his mind and thought that bringing a few more maids to the banquet would help broaden their horizons. All in all, it's always good for these girls to see more of the world. Thinking of this, Yi Xian agreed immediately. "All right then. Okay, Brother Yi, I'll go down and prepare." A few girls were playing nearby, watching Tang Hao and Yi Xian talking. They had been talking for a long time, and Tang Hao was holding a gift box in his hand. Puzzled, the girls blinked their big eyes and looked at each other, then swarmed over here, pulling Tang Hao's clothes and saying with a smile, "Uncle Tang, what are you holding in your hand?" Looking at the little ones in front of him, a smile appeared on his lips and he handed the gift box to them. "Ladies, this is a gift for you, please open it and take a look." Gift? When they heard it was a gift, the girls immediately became excited. They didn't know what it was and were very curious. "Thank you, Uncle Tang." Yi Jing and Yi Xia carefully took the gift box and placed it on the ground. What could it be? Xiao Shi stood aside and watched carefully, pouting her little mouth and muttering curiously. The other girls were also itching to try it, so they opened the gift boxes without wasting any time. Meow. As soon as it was opened, a small black head popped out from inside, looking curiously at the girls who were staring at it. Kitten. At this moment, the girls' breathing froze, their mouths opened wide, and their eyes were trembling slightly. Meow. Then, the kitten inside let out a soft cry, kicked its legs, and jumped out of the gift box. Only at this time did the girls finally see clearly what the kitten looked like. The kitten sitting on the ground at this time is a black cat. Although its fur is shiny black, its pupils are as bright and gorgeous as sapphires, and it has a small white collar hanging around its neck. This black cat has a noble temperament, and its every move is extremely elegant, but also mixed with a hint of laziness. Wow! So cute! The girls standing by were all staring with their eyes wide open, looking at Yi Xian and Tang Hao. "Dad, Uncle Tang, is this really for us? Can I touch it?" Yi Xian looked at the girls who were eager to try, waved his hand gently and said with a smile, "Little ones, of course you can touch it. It will always play with you in the future." Yeah. Several girls nodded heavily and walked towards the black cat excitedly, their eyes full of love. Meow. The black cat looked at the girls coming over and called out twice obediently. "Hey! Kitty, nice to meet you." Yi Yin giggled and shook hands politely with the black cat's chubby, pink paw. "You're so cute." Xiao Shi on the side was also carefully touching the black cat's body. The fur on it was soft and smooth, very comfortable. Afterwards, the other girls did not waste any time and took turns to be affectionate with the black cat. The black cat also cooperated with the maids very well. No matter what the maids did to it, it didn't get angry. It just looked at the maids gently and called out from time to time. Afterwards, the girls picked up the cat and ran to the sofa, rubbing it and teasing it. The sounds of their laughter filled the whole room. Yi Xian watched the little guys and the black cat having fun playing together. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he felt emotional in his heart. He had to sign in for 30 consecutive days to get this black cat. Chapter 110 Banquet. Why are you so happy? At this time, Wang Xinyao heard the noises of several girls playing and came over. When she saw that it was a black cat, she was also shocked. Where did you get this black cat from? A few girls were playing, and when they heard their mother's question, they looked towards Yi Xian. Mom, Uncle Tang Hao just brought the kitten and put it in a gift box for us. Wang Xinyao nodded and looked at the black cat with great love. She simply sat aside and petted the cat with a few other girls. This cat is so well behaved. Wang Xinyao was surprised to see the black cat letting herself stroke its head and body. She had never seen such a well-behaved cat before. Moreover, the kittens that have just been brought back are most likely to be shy, not to mention that this black cat is not very small. Mom, do you like it too? Yi Shi heard this from the side and looked at Wang Xinyao seriously and asked. Of course I like it. While stroking the black cat, Wang Xinyao smiled and nodded. Then why didn't Mom allow us to have a kitten when we wanted to? When Yi Shi asked this, the other girls looked at Wang Xinyao, as if they were afraid that they would not be allowed to keep the black cat. You little guys, it turns out you are too young. Cats have germs on them, and you don't have time to take care of kittens. Now that you've grown up, the cats will always have someone to take care of them in Dad's villa. Of course, Mom won't stop you anymore. That's great. Thanks, Mom. When the girls heard that their mother allowed them to keep the black cat, they were so happy that they took turns to kiss Wang Xinyao on the face. Afterwards, after the little ones and Wang Xinyao played with the little black cat for a while, Yi Xian walked over with a smile. Girls, we are going to a party tonight, let's change our clothes quickly. Good. The little ones nodded obediently and reluctantly put the black cat down. At that moment, Wang Xinyao and Yi Xian returned to the room, changed into their dresses, and walked outside while adjusting their collars and cuffs. Yi Xian was wearing a black suit at this time, with a red vest and a black tie underneath. With this outfit, the dress is elegant and dignified, while the red and black combination also looks layered, and has the heaviness of the dark color combination. Such a mature and elegant outfit, coupled with Yi Xian's handsome appearance, made the little girls applaud. Dad, you're so handsome. Yi Shi pulled her father's sleeve and said with a smile. Hey! Dad is the most handsome guy. So cool. Dad is the best. The other girls couldn't help but circle around Yi Xian twice. At this time, Wang Xinyao was listening to several maids praising Yi Xian's clothes, and she looked at the maids with a smile and asked. Where's Mom? Several girls looked in the direction of Wang Xinyao and couldn't help but cover their mouths. Today, Wang Xinyao wore a silver white lace long evening dress. Although she only had light makeup on her face, her delicate and flawless skin, and the evening dress that wrapped around her devilish figure, made Wang Xinyao look as beautiful as a poem. Mom looks great today too. Hey, Mom is the most beautiful person I have ever seen. Mom is so beautiful, she's just a goddess. Wang Xinyao was so pleased with the compliments from the girls that she smiled widely. She squatted down, pinched the girls' faces, and said cheerfully. You little guys are so sweet. After playing around for a while, Yi Jing kept staring at the belt around Yi Xian's waist, pouting her lips and said to Yi Xian. Dad, this belt of yours is so serious, do you have anything else? What's wrong? Doesn't this belt look good? Yi Xian looked at his belt in confusion and asked with a smile. The little guys rolled their eyes, looked up at Yi Xian foolishly, and praised him with a smile. No, Sister Jingjing is just talking nonsense. Dad will look good in any belt he wears. Yeah, Dad, this belt is really nice. Dad. Yi Xian couldn't help but chuckle when he saw the girls praising themselves to the skies. Ha, you little guys are just like what your mom said, you have such sweet mouths. Okay, let Mom take you to change into your dresses. It's time for us to leave. Good. The girls nodded obediently and followed Wang Xinyao back to the room to change into their dresses. After a while, the little ones were dressed in their dresses, and each of them looked like a little princess, so beautiful and cute. Dad, do we look good? Yi Xia and the other girls turned around and looked at Yi Xian and asked. She looks beautiful. Just like the little princess in the fairy tale. When Yi Yun heard Yi Xian's praise, she crawled into Wang Xinyao's arms and asked in confusion. Hey, Mom is the queen, we are the little princesses, so what is Dad? Okay, it's time for us to get going. Wang Xinyao gently scratched Yi Yun's nose and saw that it was almost time. Well, everything is ready, let's go. Yi Xian nodded, and immediately set off with a few maids and Wang Xinyao. This time, Zhao Dejing was also full of sincerity. When he learned that Yi Xian and others had accepted the invitation to the dinner, he drove directly over and waited outside the villa. Mr. Yi. After seeing Yi Xian and others coming out, Zhao Dejing hurried forward to greet them warmly. Mr. Yi, thank you for your help. It is my great honor to invite you to the dinner party. Come on, Mr. Yi, please come this way. At this time, Zhao Dejing was extremely respectful and hurriedly led Yi Xian and others to the several parked luxury cars. Yi Xian looked at the car that Zhao Dejing was driving over, nodded slightly, and did not let Tang Hao drive.
he took everyone into the cars driven by Zhao Dezheng. In the car, Zhao Dezheng sat next to Yi Xian. He was so excited that he looked at the man who was much younger than him with his eyes full of admiration. "Mr. Yi, thank you so much for coming this time. And your whole family is here."
Zhao, can't believe it. Well, as for this dinner, the guests are all dignitaries from the Magic City in southeastern China. Many people hope to meet Mr. Yi.
Yi Xian listened to Zhao Dezheng's introduction without saying anything, just nodded. Zhao Dezheng called Yi Xian this time with the intention of getting closer to Yi Xian.
After all, this person's identity is not simple at all. This is the master of Sun Ji, the great Chinese medical genius. His medical skills must be top-notch. Besides, even when he travels, he rides Hongqi L5.
Thinking of this, Zhao Dezheng was filled with emotion. Although his granddaughter's friend had some relationship with Mr. Yi, there was still a long way to go. At this time, the vehicle was still moving forward slowly, and not long after it was spoken, it had arrived at the destination. The hotel parking lot where everyone arrived was already filled with all kinds of luxury cars. Luxury cars that are rarely seen in normal times, such as Maybach and Rolls-Royce, look very common here. When I looked at the hotel entrance again, there were many people waiting respectfully. These were the group of dignitaries who had been at the door of Sun Ji Pharmacy before. Now, they were all standing respectfully, staring straight at the vehicles in front of them. Many dignitaries from other provinces and cities who were passing by couldn't help but feel puzzled when they saw this scene. These people were not small characters at all. Who were they waiting for? What are these people doing? It looks like they are waiting for someone. This shouldn't be the case. Who is worthy of these people waiting like this? Well, he must be an important person, but I don't know who he is. Many people were watching at the side at this time, and they couldn't help but talk about it. As he was speaking, Zhao Dezheng's car slowly drove towards the hotel entrance, and the dignitaries who were waiting there hurriedly went to greet him. The people watching on the side were also staring at the car, inevitably looking nervous. At this point, they had already concluded that the person coming was definitely not an insignificant figure. Since he was being waited for and greeted by these people, he must be a big shot. But as Yi Xian and his group got out of the car, everyone was stunned, staring at each other. No one knew what was going on. Who is this young man? How could he be greeted so respectfully by these people? People from other provinces and cities were also confused when they saw the scene, because they didn't know this person. However, they didn't dare to ask, as they didn't know what was going on, and they didn't dare to act rashly, so they had no choice but to go over to greet them and introduce themselves. But just as everyone stepped forward to greet them, a pair of eyes not far away suddenly noticed Yi Xian here. At that moment, the man didn't dare to delay and quickly made a phone call. Chapter 111 Second in Command. Afterwards, surrounded by Zhao Dezheng and his group, Yi Xian and others walked into the hotel. When the lobby manager saw someone coming, he hurried over to greet him. "Manager, I've got the top floor of your place." Zhao Dezheng waved his hand and said heroically. But the lobby manager felt a little embarrassed when he heard this, and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Mr. Zhao, we have guests above us who have already made reservations. There were 2 rooms on the top floor, but now there is only 1 room left. What do you think?" Zhao Dezheng smiled with some regret, but without further delay, he agreed. Okay. Afterwards, Zhao Dezheng went upstairs to meet Yi Xian. After arriving at the room upstairs, as soon as they walked in, Zhao Dezheng invited Yi Xian to the main seat. Seeing this scene, the people from other provinces and cities changed their expressions. They looked at the dignitaries who knew Yi Xian and said with some displeasure, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Who is this person? How dare you invite him to sit on the main seat? Don't you know who will be coming later? Yes, Zhang Longzhao and Zhang Ju will be here soon." Suddenly, these people were unhappy. After all, Zhang Ju, the dragon schoolmaster, was still a dragon schoolmaster. Wasn't this clearly intended to offend him? An old man at the side, who was one of the people who went to seek medical treatment last time, coughed softly and explained to these people from other provinces and cities. "Everyone, don't get excited, this is Mr. Yi Xian Yi." Mr. Yi. Several people from other provinces and cities shook their heads, obviously not knowing who Mr. Yi the old man was talking about. Moreover, Yi Xian looked really young, so they didn't think he was a big shot at all. "Oh, you don't know Mr. Yi, but you should know the famous Chinese doctor Sun Jisuan, right?" When the old man saw that he didn't recognize these people, he moved Sun Ji out first. "Sun Ji. You know that?" Speaking of Sun Ji, everyone knows him as a famous miracle doctor in China.
But at the same time, everyone was even more confused. What could be the relationship between Sun Ji and Yi Xian? Since everyone knows what the divine Dr. Sun Jisuan said, shouldn't this person know it even more?
This Mr. Yi is the divine Dr. Sun Jisuan's master.
As soon as the old man finished speaking, the people who were originally unaware of the situation were so frightened that they got goosebumps all over their bodies.
They looked at Yi Xian, who was sitting in the main seat beside them, in disbelief, muttering to themselves.
You mean, this person is the master of Dr. Sun Ji? Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. He's just a young man. Mr. Li, please don't fool us, okay?
For a moment, these people were a little bit unbelieving, and the old man surnamed Li, who had just spoken, continued. I'm not going to lie to you, this is something many of us have witnessed. Sun Ji not only called him master, but also knelt down to pay respect to him.
Don't you think this is respect from the heart? Besides, do you know what car Mr. Yi rides in when he travels? It's a Hongqi L5. Boom!
As the old man spoke, everyone was completely stunned, with shock surging in their eyes, and their eyes changed when they looked at Yi Xian beside them. But they really didn't expect that such a young person could achieve this and have such high attainments in medical skills. As for the Hongqi L5, they didn't think it was Yi Xian's car, but it was not difficult to explain. After all, it was not surprising that he was such a miracle doctor and knew the high-ranking military officials in the Yanhuang military. Maybe, those were the high-ranking officials of the Yanhuang military, who were used to pick him up. However, after knowing this, the bosses who had previously looked down on Yi Xian were all stunned, paused for a moment, and then continued. Logically speaking, Yi Xian seems to be more powerful than Zhang Ju. Yes, after all, Sun Ji is a person with extensive connections. It seems that he has quite a few connections in the Yanhuang military department. However, several of the CEOs hesitated at this time and continued speaking while looking at everyone. Everyone, the key is that I have received reliable information that Zhang Ju Zhang Longxiao will soon be promoted to a 1-star dragon general, and the old man of the Zhang family will be promoted to a 3-star dragon general. For a moment, everyone was stunned when they heard this, and then there was an uproar.
Oh my god! This is too amazing! Doesn't that mean that the Zhang family will soon have 2 dragon generals? More than that.
Mr. Zhang is destined to become a senior executive of a branch. Zhao Dezhang and others were stunned for a moment. They did not expect the situation to be like this.
For a moment, they felt in a dilemma.
After all, judging from the power of the Zhang family, it is definitely extraordinary.
For a moment, no one knew what to do.
But now Yi Xian has been invited to sit in the main seat, do we still need to ask him to get up and change seats? Thinking of this, Zhao Dezheng also persisted and said to everyone with a smile.
Everyone, this is really difficult for me. How about this?
When Zhang Ju and Zhang Longxiao come, I will go and explain it to him in person. When everyone heard this, although they thought it was okay, they were still a little hesitant, worrying that this might not be a good idea.
Hey, Mr. Zhao, isn't this a bit inappropriate?
Yeah, after all, there's no point in explaining it after they get here. I hope General Zhang Ju and General Zhang Long won't care about this. Everyone was talking at this time, and they were all a little worried in their hearts. After all, this is not a trivial matter.
If you anger others and leave a bad impression, it will not be worth it.
However, Zhao Dezheng still insisted and did not give in. Apart from anything else, Yi Xian was already sitting in the main seat.
Did he still want him to ask him to change seats?
Everyone, just sit down first. I'll take care of anything. At the end of the discussion, Zhao Dezheng patted his chest, and everyone didn't say much and sat down. At this time, Yi Xian was sitting in the main seat here, and several maids were sitting around Yi Xian. Arriving in an unfamiliar environment, with many unfamiliar people around them, the girls couldn't help but feel a little restrained. Wang Xinyo had seen a lot of the world, so she didn't feel too nervous at the moment. Yi Xian looked at the little girls who were a little restless, smiled, and spoke to them. Girls, listen here. Daddy will teach you some etiquette about banquets and other occasions.
Good.
After hearing Yi Xian's words, the girls felt a little better and focused their attention on Yi Xian. When we enter the banquet, we just need to sit in the seats arranged by the host. After we take our seats, we don't need to be too serious about anything, just stay relaxed and elegant and polite. As for when you eat, you have to be a little more careful. Dad has told you about this before. When we leave, we must remember to thank the host of the banquet.
This is basic etiquette, just like being on time for an appointment. There's nothing else to worry about, just relax. Yi Xian smiled and talked to the maids about some basic etiquette, and also reminded them to relax a little and not be too restrained. Okay, Dad, we got it. After listening to this, the girls nodded heavily, took deep breaths, and tried to relax themselves. Then, a series of noisy voices rang out. Outside, a middle-aged man was walking towards inside with neat steps. The man was wearing a well-ironed suit and his steps were calm and firm, full of masculinity. However, the suit could not hide the strong and explosive body underneath. And his angular face was full of righteousness and majesty. Even if he was not wearing a military uniform, one could tell the military aura from his face alone. Who is this? As people's eyes gradually turned to the middle-aged man, someone couldn't help but ask a question. What, you don't know this one? When the person next to him heard this, he looked at him in surprise and continued his introduction. This one is Zhang Ju, the Dragon Schoolmaster. The dignified 5-star Dragon Schoolmaster of the Yanhuang Army. At this time, he is about to be promoted to a 1-star Dragon School. And his father is even more terrifying, that is, the old man of the Zhang family. He is now about to be promoted to a 3-star Dragon General and will soon become the second in command of the southeast branch of the Yanhuang Military Department. Boom! Suddenly, everyone was in an uproar, looking at Zhang Ju who was walking towards them. Their eyes were filled with shock. Chapter 112. Why are you here? It seems that this person is a real big shot. That's amazing. This is the real boss. Looking at it this way, we are nothing at all. Come on, everyone, go up and say hello. Suddenly, everyone prepared to go and greet him. At the very least, they had to leave a good impression on others. Principal Zhang Long, you are here. We are so sorry for not welcoming you in person. Yes, Principal Zhang Long, please come in and take a seat. Oh, I've heard of Zhang Longxiao's great name for a long time. Now that I see him, I realize he is indeed a hero. Zhang Ju, who was walking over here, also saw everyone and did not put on any airs at all. He has finally managed to take a break from his busy life and has the time to come here for the banquet today. Ha ha ha. Good evening, everyone. No need to be so polite. Since we're here, we're all friends. At this moment, everyone couldn't help but have a very good impression of General Zhang Long, who was really a humble guy. As he was speaking, he saw Yi Xian sitting in the main seat. He was stunned immediately, and then looked at everyone with an unconcealable surprise in his eyes. But this was not a big deal. All the dignitaries held their breath. Looking at Zhang Ju's expression at this moment, they all thought that someone was dissatisfied with him. But this is understandable. Such an unknown person actually sits in the main seat, which is somewhat disrespectful. Zhao Dezheng and others were also crying out in their hearts that something was wrong at this moment. Looking at this scene, they all felt that Zhang Longxiao was unhappy. Everyone was also afraid. Would there be any conflict? And if it really happens, which side should they stand on? Seeing that the situation was not good, Zhao Dezheng could no longer sit still. He prepared to go up and explain everything, hoping to handle the matter properly. If he doesn't handle the situation well, he might offend people on both sides. Zhang Ju, who was standing aside, looked at Yi Xian who was sitting in the main seat and was more shocked by his age. You know, what dignitaries care about most is position. People of this age must be from famous families. At that moment, Zhang Ju smiled, stretched out his hand, and said to Yi Xian with a smile. This is really a hero born young. Yi Xian looked at Zhang Ju, stood up, smiled, and stretched out his hand to shake hands. Seeing this situation, everyone breathed a sigh of relief and immediately had an expression of relief on their faces. Ha, we are all gathered together by fate. Principal Zhang Long, please take a seat. Zhao Dezheng wiped the sweat from his head and said to Zhang Ju with a smile. Ha ha ha. Great. Zhang Ju nodded, then smiled heroically and sat next to Yi Xian. I have to have a drink with this friend tonight. Coincidentally, as we were talking about this, the dishes started to be served outside. At this time, everyone was shouting and sitting down, and wine was poured into their glasses. For a while, there was a lot of toasting. The little girls were full of appetite when looking at the dazzling array of dishes, but because there were so many people here, they just used chopsticks clumsily and picked up the dishes carefully. Yi Xian looked at the little girls. Every move they made was very cautious, trying their best to follow the banquet etiquette they were taught. Zhang Ju was sitting next to Yi Xian at this time, looking at the little girls and asked with a smile. Friend Yi, are these ladies all your daughters? Yes, uncle.
Before Yi Xian could speak, several girls beside him responded politely.
Ha ha ha. That's so cute. Yi Xiaoyu, I really envy you. Zhang Ju looked at these cute little guys and couldn't help but sigh. He then picked up the wineglass and clinked it lightly with Yi Xian. Oh, by the way, I still don't know which Yi family Mr. Yi is from?
Zhang Ju drank the wine in the glass in one gulp and looked at Yi Xian curiously. After all, there are many members of the Yi family in this vast China. At this moment, Zhang Ju's mind was subtly placing his guess on the largest family among them, the Yi family. He had this idea the moment he came in and saw Yi Xian sitting in the main seat. Bang, bang, bang. Just as Yi Xian was about to speak, someone suddenly knocked on the door outside. Everyone was drinking and chatting, but was attracted by the knock on the door and looked over. Zhao Dazheng, who was sitting a little outside, stood up and quickly opened the door. The person who came was a man, estimated to be in his 20s or 30s. He was wearing casual clothes and looked at Zhao Dazheng with a smile. Although this person looked kind, gentle and elegant, Zhao Dazheng always felt that there was a faint murderous aura in him, which was not something an ordinary person could possess. But the paradox is that this person looks really young. For a moment, even an old hand like Zhao Dazheng couldn't understand the person in front of him. Who are you? Zhao Dazheng was stunned for a moment, but when he thought that anyone who could come here was not a small figure, he asked casually. Zhang Qingtian walked in, looked inside, then glanced at Zhao Dazheng, then said with a smile. It's like this, I just came to offer a toast. Zhao Dazheng nodded when he heard this. It seemed that the person who came at least knew the people here, so he immediately made way. At this time, everyone else also saw Zhang Qingtian walking in. They were all stunned and started muttering to themselves. Who is this person? Could he be some high-ranking official? But I have never seen this person before. Moreover, he looks very young. I just heard that he came to toast, so I guess his status is probably not very high. At that moment, everyone started to speculate in their hearts, but no one thought too highly of this young man. After all, he looked too young, and everyone thought that this man was probably just trying to make connections. However, Zhang Ju, who was sitting next to Yi Xian, trembled when he saw the young man walking in, and the expression on his face changed in an instant. He looked at the young man in disbelief, his mouth corners twitching slightly, and he rubbed his eyes violently, as if he didn't quite believe it. However, after Zhang Ju confirmed the identity of the person, he stood up suddenly and almost knocked over the cup beside him. For a moment, everyone looked at Zhang Ju with confusion in their hearts. What's going on? Does Zhang Longsha know the young man walking in from outside? But just when everyone was dumbfounded, Zhang Ju looked at Zhang Cheng, who was walking towards him, saluted him solemnly, and then asked respectfully. General Zhang Long. Why are you here? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was stunned. They all looked at Zhang Ju stupidly, then at Zhang Qingtian. No one could believe that this man who looked so young was actually a dragon general. Moreover, when everyone saw Zhang Ju's respectful look, they all knew in their hearts that the young man in front of them was definitely not simple. Ahem. Looking at the incredible expressions of the dignitaries around him, Zhang Ju coughed and then began to introduce them. Everyone, this is the top commander of the Southeast Division of the Yanhuang military, the 4-star dragon General Zhang Qingtian. What? However, everyone was even more shocked. The hair on their bodies stood up. They stared at Zhang Qingtian's young face in a daze, and their whole bodies were trembling slightly. This person is actually the head of the Southeast branch of the Yanhuang military. It was really unbelievable. How could such a great person walk into their room? What is even more intriguing is that he just said he came in to toast. At this moment, everyone looked at each other, all very curious about who this person was, and who was worthy of such a big shot coming over to toast. But after looking around, no one felt that they were qualified, nor did they think the other party was qualified. At that moment, everyone quickly stood up and greeted Zhang Qingtian and Zhang Longjiang with smiles on their faces. They were as enthusiastic as they could be. After all, this was a person they could only look up to, a 4-star dragon general of the Yanhuang army. What kind of concept was this? It turned out to be General Zhang Qingtian Zhang Long. How rude! General Zhang Long, please take a seat. Please take a seat. Alas, we just failed to recognize the real master. Please do not blame us, General Zhang Long. At this time, everyone stood up and greeted Zhang Qingtian warmly and respectfully. Looking around, only Yi Xian did not stand up. Everyone was stunned at this moment. It would have been fine if no one stood up, but now facing such a person, everyone stood up. If Yi Xian still sat like this, wouldn't it be a bit unruly? Suddenly, Zhao Dezheng and others shuddered all over, and then they looked at Yi Xian frantically.
Who is this person? This is a 4-star dragon general, the top figure in the Tianlong army, and the head of the entire southeast branch. Such people are rare, not to mention in this small Linhai city, even in the whole of China. If Yi Xian didn't stand up, it would be extremely disrespectful, and it would be hard to imagine what the consequences would be. Everyone couldn't help but tremble slightly. If General Zhang Qingshanlong was unhappy because Yi Xian was the only one who didn't stand up, it would not be good for anyone. But no matter how Zhao Dezheng and others looked at Yi Xian remained as still as a mountain, with an indifferent expression that was a little scary. At this moment, all the dignitaries present felt a pang in their hearts, thinking that Yi Xian was finished. And if things go wrong, they will be affected in many ways. In an instant, the dignitaries looked at Yi Xian, each of them was gnashing with hatred, the veins on their foreheads bulged, and they all looked angry. Even Zhang Ju felt a little helpless, and looked at Yi Xian with some anger in his eyes. Apart from anything else, this is a contempt for Zhang Qingtian Dragon General. The people on the side saw Zhang Ju's eyes and had no idea what Yi Xian was thinking. Now he had provoked two big guys at once. One of them is an almighty being who intimidates the entire China. Chapter 113, A Toast to Others. If they want to target Yi Xian, isn't it just a matter of saying a few words? By the way, General Zhang Long, what brings you here for? The atmosphere was becoming increasingly awkward. Zhang Ju swallowed and continued to ask while looking at Zhang Qingtian. This was also the question that puzzled him. After all, it was impossible that General Zhang Long was here to toast him, right? He is just a small dragon school. Even his father had to bow his head several times in front of Zhang Qingtian. However, at this time, Zhang Qingtian picked up the wineglass, looked at Zhang Ju and said with a smile, "I'm here to offer a glass of wine to General Yi Long, and to give him something as well." General Yi Long. Everyone was shocked. What does this mean? Is there a dragon general among them? For a moment, everyone was in an uproar and began to discuss in low voices. Did General Zhang take the wrong path? Do we have a second general here? This is impossible. I'm a little confused. General Yi Long, this guy named Yi. At this time, Zhao Dezheng was also muttering something, and suddenly he thought of the surname Yi, and looked at Yi Xian unconsciously. Thinking about the Hongqi L5 that Yi Xian had ridden before, Zhao Dezheng suddenly had a bold guess in his mind. But soon, he shook his head and denied his guess. If Yi Xian is really someone that everyone, including Zhang Qing and Tianlong, would toast to, then how could he be so worthy of inviting others to the banquet? But Zhao Dezheng quickly looked around again. Apart from Yi Xian, there seemed to be no one else with the surname Yi here? Could it be that Zhang Qingtian Dragon General really came to the wrong place, or is this Dragon General surnamed Yi really Yi Xian? Just when Zhao Dezheng was still struggling with guessing, he saw Yi Xian slowly stand up and pick up the wineglass. Boom! At this moment, everyone felt as if a thunder had struck the top of their head and they couldn't believe that this was actually true. All of a sudden, everyone's eyes were fixed on Yi Xian. This person was actually the Dragon General. Moreover, someone of Zhang Qingshanlong's status had to come and toast to him. No way! I must be dreaming. He looks so young, how could he be a Dragon General? The most incredible thing is that this person is the one that Zhang Qingshanlong is going to toast. I'm stunned, this is true. This is actually true. Suddenly, the silent room exploded, and everyone widened their eyes and looked at Yi Xian, whom they had previously ignored. Many people were frightened. Fortunately, they didn't say anything outrageous just now, otherwise. Zhao Dezheng looked at Yi Xian standing aside, his mouth wide open, not knowing what to say. This is truly shocking, a person like this actually has extraordinary medical skills. Even Zhang Ju was stunned at this moment, looking at Yi Xian's face with his eyes dazed. At this moment, his heartbeat was constantly accelerating, and he suddenly remembered another thing. For a moment, all the muscles in his body tensed up, and a crazy brainstorm began in his head. The Dragon General surnamed Ji is still this young, could he be? At first, Zhang Ju thought this was just a guess, but when he saw that the person coming to toast him was Zhang Qingtian, his body suddenly staggered. It seems that Zhang Ju's own guess is almost right. Thinking of this, he stood there, even his breathing almost solidified, as if he was petrified. Immediately afterwards, Zhang Qingtian also walked towards the side with a wineglass. Oh my god! 5-star Dragon General. The highest rank in the Yanhuang military, you are Yi Zhanshan, Yi Longjiang. Zhang Ju took a deep breath at this time, looked at Yi Xian beside him, and couldn't help but exclaimed. Thinking about how he had just called the god of war Yi Xiaoyu, he suddenly wanted to slap himself. If the other members of the Yanhuang military knew about this, wouldn't they all spit at him and drown him? When the other people around heard Zhang Ju's loud shout, their hearts almost stopped beating. Boom, boom, boom. A man never stops talking until his words are shocking. Once these words came out, it was like a thunderclap from the sky, striking everyone present to pieces. Everyone was stunned at this moment, their eyes were filled with shock, their heads were buzzing, and they suddenly felt that they could not react. 5-star Dragon General. Yanhuang God of War. He actually looks so young. This completely overturned everyone's worldview. It was like a magnitude 12 earthquake. What's going on? I'm going crazy. Hiss. I can't believe that I'm actually eating at the same table with a 5-star Dragon General. Oh my god, how can I be so worthy of this? At this moment, everyone stared at each other with their eyes trembling violently, and their hands holding chopsticks or wineglasses could not be controlled. Zhang Qingtian walked over with a smile, holding a wineglass, and said respectfully to Yi Xian in front of him. Instructor, I'm sorry I didn't know you were here. This is all my fault. I will never forget your teachings to me. As he spoke, Zhang Qingtian solemnly raised his wineglass. Wang Xinyao was watching from the side and was also terrified. These are the top leaders of the southeast branch of the Yanhuang military, and they were actually brought up by her husband. The more Wang Xinyao thought about it, the more shocked she felt, and her face was full of surprise. This was really horrifying. Who is this cheap husband of mine? And why has he reached such a state at such a young age? At this time, several little girls also stopped what they were doing, pouted their lips, and looked at Yi Xian and Zhang Qingtian clinking glasses. Bang! After the crisp clinking sound of the wine glasses, Zhang Qingtian picked up the glass and poured it down without leaving a sip. And then, Yi Xian drank the full glass of wine in one gulp. Seeing this, Zhang Qingtian also gave Yi Xian a thumbs up and said with emotion, Instructor, you are still as generous and straightforward as before. At the same time, Yi Xian's image in everyone's mind has been elevated to an unprecedented level. Zhao Dazheng and the others finally recovered from their shock and were almost going crazy with joy. They really made the right choice by holding on to this thigh. The other dignitaries were even more envious of Zhao Dazheng and his group at this time. This is not as simple as making friends with some wealthy businessmen and high-ranking officials. Yi Xian can be said to be a very powerful official. Yi Xian had finished his drink at this time. Zhang Qingtian looked at Yi Xian, then at the others, and asked respectfully. Instructor, how about I go back first? I'm in the next room. After hearing this, everyone else suddenly realized that no wonder the lobby manager had said that the other room on the top floor was booked by someone. It turned out that it was booked by General Zhang Long. Afterwards, Zhang Qingtian and Yi Xian chatted for a few more words, and then Zhang Qingtian walked out and returned to his room. At this time, everyone around looked at Yi Xian, raised their glasses with flattering faces, and toasted Yi Xian respectfully. General Yi Long, we really didn't know who you were just now. If we have offended you in any way, please forgive us. Oh, it's such a great honor for us to have dinner with a man like Yi Longjiang. General Yi Long, I'll do it first, you can do whatever you want. Yi Xian looked at the wineglasses raised by everyone, without standing up. He raised them in the air with an indifferent expression, and then put them on the table without drinking a sip. As for the others, they quickly picked up their wineglasses and drank them all until not a drop was left. Yi Jing and the other girls were looking at this scene, feeling even more confused, and asked Wang Xinyao. Mom, why doesn't Dad drink? Wang Xinyao looked at the puzzled expressions of the maids and didn't know how to explain for a moment. After organizing her words, she explained to the maids in a low voice. As for Dad, his status is quite different from these uncles, so it's okay for Dad not to drink. Oh. The girls nodded, and it was unclear whether they understood or not, but they still looked confused. Okay, let Mom explain to you some basic knowledge. There are many rules at the dining table. For example, the simplest one is, when you toast others in the future, you must fill the glass with wine. This shows respect. But if you are pouring tea, you can't fill it up. As the saying goes, a full cup of tea is deceiving, a full cup of wine is respectful. This is exactly the truth. Chapter 114 God-level culture fluid. While they were talking, these dignitaries, after toasting Yi Xian, refilled the glasses and looked at Wang Xinyao and several maids here with the same respect. These people must be General Yi Lon's wife and daughter. I'd like to offer you a toast.
Please do as you please.
As expected of General Yi Lon's wife and daughter, she looks so elegant and graceful. It's such an honor.
All of a sudden, all the dignitaries raised their glasses to drink from Wang Xinyo and the little girls. Wang Xinyo also responded with a smile, and she and a few little ones used drinks instead of wine, and raised their glasses to clink them lightly. However, these dignitaries still drank up all the wine in their glasses before slowly sitting down. After a while, when everyone finished their meal, Yi Xian stood up with a few maids and Wang Xinyo looked at everyone and said calmly,
"Everyone, we're leaving now."
Seeing this, Zhao Dezheng and others quickly stood up and left, showing even more respect to Yi Xian. Especially Zhang Ju, who accompanied them all the way and personally drove Yi Xian and the others back to the villa. Only after seeing Yi Xian off did all the dignitaries breathe a sigh of relief. They looked at each other with horror in their eyes and immediately started to talk a lot. I really didn't expect that this person is such a great figure, a dignified 5-star dragon general of the Yanhuang army.
Yeah, how could we be so worthy to have dinner with such a top star? Alas, the most ironic thing is that at first we just thought he was just a doctor with superb medical skills.
If I had said something unpleasant at that time, oh, I'm scared just thinking about it.
This night is a night that these people will never forget in their entire lives. At this time, after Zhang Ju sent Yi Xian and others back, he returned to the room. Everyone saw Zhang Ju coming back and hurriedly pulled him to ask about Yi Xian. "Principal Zhang Long, what kind of person